What's going on, guys? It's your boy Papa React, and I am back in the house today. How's it going, everyone? Let me know where you're watching from right now. Welcome to the Medium 2.0 Next.js with TypeScript build. It's gonna be sick. The first build of 2022, and we already have over 250 people watching. The Papa fam is blowing up. This is why we do what we do. We have had so many messages over the holidays of people getting jobs. Welcome everyone to your next evolution, the TypeScript era, because your boy, you better believe it, your boy is bringing the fire on these builds right now. Welcome to one of my proudest builds, brought to you by the guys over at Sanity CMS. Check this out, guys. Medium 2.0. Let me know where you're watching from right now. Let's kick it. Check this out, guys. Medium 2.0 powered by Sanity CMS. We've got all of our blog posts over here looking sick. We've got a fully responsive app right now. Check this out. I know you guys have been asking for Medium, so I'm getting it done. Someone said East London. What's up, Dorillis? Check this out, guys. Fully responsive build, CSS grid, Flexbox, all that good stuff we're going to be learning. And it's using something called Incremental Static Regeneration. If you didn't know what that is, oh, you guys are in for a treat. This is like the best way you want to be loading your pages up. And I'm going to teach you how to use this incredible tech in Next.js. It's like the creme de la creme in Next.js. And go ahead and level up your apps and have static pages which can serve dynamic like pages, like content, right? So it's going to be a hell of a lot of fun. So if I click into a post right now, you guys will see it will go ahead, go to the following page where it has post / and there's a custom slug for each article. You're going to see your article. So here we've got a nice dummy article presented to us, and you can see this goes out. I've got some lorem ipsum going on, and then we also have the ability to leave a comment. Now this is no ordinary comment. So after I fill this form out and I click submit, let's go ahead and do it right now. Let's go ahead and say Sunny at bob.com, and let's go say, yo Papa fam, smash the like button if you're excited for this one. I'm going to click submit. Now check this out. It goes ahead, thank you for submitting your comment. Once it's been approved, it will appear below. So as I mentioned multiple times, this build is powered by the guys over at Sanity CMS. Sanity CMS is one of the craziest things that I'm about to introduce you to. Check this out. It's a managed backend basically, which is going to allow non-developers to go ahead and manage your data on your platform. So this is the Sanity backend, which we're going to go ahead and set up. It's called the Sanity Studio, and this can even be deployed as well. So it's freaking amazing how powerful this can get. Right? So if I go ahead and go to a comment right now, I just went ahead and made a comment. So I actually think it was this one right now. Yo Papa fam, smash the like button. And now I'm going to go ahead and improve this, right? I'm going to approve it. I'm going to publish the changes. And as you can see, it's linked to a post. Let's go back to our post and let's go ahead and refresh. Now the next person that comes on is gone ahead and refreshed. Yo Papa fam, smash the like button. As you can see, that's a static page which is being dynamically updated every 60 seconds and then recached and served in an optimized, efficient, dynamic way. We're using Next.js. So much stuff to look forward to. I'm gonna go ahead and break down this build right now. Let me go ahead and read some of these comments for you guys. I can see, wow, looking good, looking excited for TypeScript, ISG, West London in the house. Any Londoners, what's up guys? Welcome to the build. Go ahead and shout me out right now where you're from. We've got India, Pakistan. What's up, guys? California in the house. We've got more London. We've got loads of London today. France, what's up? Bonjour, guys. We got Bangladesh. We got Ethiopia. What's going on, guys? Oh, this is sick. We've got literally over 300 people watching right now. Kennington, London. London is representing today, guys. This is sick. Oh, nice. North Carolina, Kenya, Peru, Zambia. Okay, now the chat's popping off. Antarctica. If you're watching this on replay, watch with the chat. We got Turkey, Egypt, Nigeria, New York. Oh, this is on there. Papa Fam's international now, guys. Check this out. And your boy has gone ahead and hooked you up with something incredible, right? So I'm going to go ahead and explain what Sanity is, what they do, right? Let's go to their website quickly. And let's check this out. So this is basically what we're going to be using to power today's build, right? It's going to be I feel like a lot of you are going to transition to Sanity once you've used it rather than Firestore because of the way you can manipulate and change your data. So I see a lot of you want to build e-commerce sites. A lot of you want to build blogs. I always get it. I want to build a blog. How do I do it, Sonny? Where do I begin? This is the build for you. It's a brand new build. We've never done this on any channel. So check this out. It's a unified content experience platform. Basically, you can go ahead and read this for yourself. But as you can see, this is what they provide, the Sanity Studio. We plug into it with a language called Grok. That's how we query our data and we mutate our data. I'm going to be showing you guys how to use Grok. In my opinion, it's very much close to GraphQL, but I feel it's actually a little bit cleaner than GraphQL. I didn't like it at first, but I'm going to show you why I came to love it. Now, the first link in the description is the key to getting the benefits today. They've gone ahead and hooked us up. The team are incredible over there. They've gone ahead and hooked up all the Papa Fam members with an incredible doubled monthly usage package, right? I don't know how to word that, but basically they doubled all of our rates. So if you go ahead and hit the first link in the description, when we're doing this tutorial, you're going to have two steps. You're going to have to install it globally. You're probably going to have to put sudo before this to install this. And then you're going to install the Sanity CLI tools. Then you're going to go ahead and eventually, when we do Sanity init, add in the -- coupon Sunny 2022. Okay, make sure you do this. Daisy's in the house. What's up, Daisy? Make sure you do this because you're going to get double all of your quotes. 200,000 API requests, 1 million CDM requests, and 20 gigs of bandwidth. Absolutely incredible, right? Sanity is easy to implement. They've got a massive community. So if you want more support from them, you can go ahead and check out sanity.slack.io. That's going to be like an awesome Slack community that they have, pretty active, to be honest. It's like the Papa Fam over there. It's pretty sick, right? Go ahead and check it out. And there's tons of APIs and good stuff that we're going to cover in today's build. So I'm going to go ahead and break this down for you guys and what you're going to be learning in today's build, so you guys can get hyped up for this one. I'm going to go ahead and draw on the screen right now because I know you guys love it. So in today's build, we have the following. We have Next.js coming in hot, right? So if you guys have done this, as I do this, go ahead and make some noise and let me know which one you're most excited for, right? So I'm going to go ahead and type in, okay, it's not typing, Next.js. All right, we've got Next.js, we've got React. So if you want to learn any of these things, then you're in the right place. We've got Tailwind CSS, and we're actually going to be using version 3.0. So we are going to be using the new colored, right? It's the new colored shadows and those kind of cool features which are released as part of Tailwind 3.0. And if you are enjoying this and you're hyped up, smash and destroy that like button, right? I want to get this like to 1,000+ today. So just do me a favor, smash that like button, help this video get out to as many developers out there, and let's push the Papa Fam to miles beyond, right? So we got Tailwind CSS. Let's go ahead and learn Sanity CMS as well, right? And we've got TypeScript. So you guys are, I know that you guys have been waiting for me to drop this. I've been waiting for the right build. Today's the day, right? We got TypeScript and we're going to be learning Grok, right? So Grok is very similar to what we're used to with GraphQL. Honestly, it'll be very similar sort of acquaintance to that, right? Now, one thing I do want to mention, we are going to be covering a backend portion in today's build as well. So using Next.js, I'm going to introduce you to the API side of things. So if you want a full stack developer experience, this is the video for you. So smash the like button. Jason Taylor coming in with that heavy donation, $10 donation. I recently joined your Zero to Full Stack Hero course, and I'm looking forward to going through it. Keep it up. Much love from California. Jason, my man, thank you so much for being a part of the Papa Fam. Anyone else wants to join, papareact.com. Links are all in the description, right? Without further ado, guys, 400+ people working right now. Oh man, this is sick. This is so good. Samson Brody says, first time catching the stream live. That's what I'm talking about, man. That's what I'm talking about. I want the energy up. Quick water break, and then we're going to go ahead and get started in. So Jamie Davies, Next.js and TypeScript, let's go. I see everyone's excited for this combo. Okay, so also I want to mention, I've actually got a new bunch of songs in the playlist now. So if you want the playlist, hit up the newsletter and you're going to get we'll send out the playlist. Okay, we're going to jump into this build right now. Let's do this, guys. Let's get into focus mode. This is time to get into this. So we're going to go ahead and open up. We're going to actually be using Next.js today. So I like to show the whole process, even if you're experienced, even if you know this stuff. We're going to be doing everything over at Next.js. So you can use this guide if you ever get stuck. The documentation's here. I'm going to show you a shortcut and get started straight away. Okay, Tino, what's up? He goes, all of you should join Zero to Full Stack Hero. Best investment ever made for the community alone. Grown so much since. Tino is one of our incredible diamond members, guys. Listen to him because he is crushing it right now. He's absolutely killing it, right? Oh, guys, your honestly, your positivity today is shocking. My energy is up right now. This is sick. Malaysia's in the house. What's up? All right, so we're gonna go ahead and get kickstarted off, opening up our terminal. And on the terminal, I'm gonna go into my documents, right, and go into my builds folder. Now, you don't have to have it in documents builds. You can put it wherever you want. I'd recommend you keep it neat. Okay, now at this point, I'm going to show you a little trick. If you do Control R, you get something called recursive search. So this is how I find my old commands. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and type in TypeScript. So no, not TypeScript, sorry, Tailwind, right? So the command that you want for today is going to be this one here. So npx create next app -- example with Tailwind CSS, right? And what we're going to be doing is I'm going to call it Sanity YouTube Build. Right? So you guys just need to write this out. npx is the tool we're going to be using today. Create next app goes ahead and sets up a dummy application for us using Next.js, and we're going to combine it or bootstrap it with Tailwind CSS, whatever it is, with the example, right? The template. Think of it like that. And it goes ahead and adds Tailwind CSS inside of our project, and we're going to call it Sanity YouTube Build. So hitting the enter key on that will go ahead and spin this up. This will go ahead and get things set up for us. Right. Let me know what the pace is like today. We have so many viewers right now. This is crazy, guys. Honestly, wow. Thank you all for tuning in. Wow, we want TypeScript too. Finally, I joined my first live sessions. Awesome stuff, man. Welcome to the live. All right. So while this is happening, we're going to go ahead and introduce you to Sanity. So sanity.io, make sure you use that first link in the description to get the sign up bonus. We're going to go ahead and click login. Right? Logging in is simple on Sanity. You can use Gmail, any kind of simple login. I've actually logged in with my Gmail account, so I've got a couple of examples in here right now. They have some awesome examples that you can actually go ahead and clone as well. So I did that with the blog example. Great exercise to do. We're going to go ahead and click on create a new project. Right? And as you can see, we have to go ahead and do this command. Now, don't do this, right? Do not do this to begin with. Don't do that command. Do this one instead. Right? So this is the one I want you to do. npm install -g sanity CLI. So I want you to start off with this command, and this will allow you to have CLI tools, which means I can run stuff inside the terminal. Okay. So once we've done that, I will then go ahead and do this inside. So I'm going to show you where to run the second command after you've done it. So cd sanity build. So now I'm going into my build folder, and now I'm inside my build folder. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and type in code. And this will open my VS Code editor with this directory open. So that's a nice little shortcut. If you didn't know that shortcut, Command Shift P and go ahead and type in shell, right? And this is the one that you're going to see install. You'll see install code command in path. Mine's code insiders command because I've got the beta version. Okay. So once we've done this, I'll go ahead and make this a little bit bigger for you to all to see. Let me go ahead and make this a bit nicer so that way you guys can actually see what the hell I'm typing right now. Okay. So let's do this. And now what you want to do is this is going to be your starting point for Next.js. Okay. So quick little pause here, Command J to pull up a terminal inside of here. I'm going to close my old terminal, get rid of that. And as you can see, I'm in the Sanity YouTube build folder and I am using omyzsh. Okay. So Bessam says, thanks Sunny for all. I'm actually working on Signal tomorrow, Medium 2.0. Inshallah. Thank you, dude. Appreciate you, man. So in this case, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and grab this command, sanity init with the coupon code. So now I'm going to go ahead and init. And what I'm doing here is I'm initializing the Sanity Studio inside of this directory. Now you can have it as a separate one, but I think it's going to help you to have it in here. Now, as you can see, you're setting up a new project. Make sure you have an account with Sanity, And by the way, if you do get an error at this point, try running Sanity login beforehand, and then it will go ahead and ask you to log in. So you may need to do sanity login first as a command, and then you can do the init code, right? The coupon code one. In this case, we're going to click on, I've actually gone ahead and we're going to create a new project. All right. Now let's name the project. We're going to call it Sanity. Let's just call it, Sanity YouTube. Okay. Call it Sanity YouTube, enter. And as you can see, it's going to go ahead and prompt us with the second thing. Now, what do you want to name your data set basically? Use the default data set configuration. I'm going to type in Y and hit enter. And that means yes. And basically that just means a production data set. Now, what's really cool is that as I showed you, they give us a backend, right? That backend obviously has some kind of data associated with it. So what we can actually do at this point is we can create different data sets. So you can have a production data set, and you can have like a developer or a staging data set. Really handy once you're inside the production world in real life. You actually don't have one major data set, you have loads of ones that you can play with. So they support that out of the box. It really good stuff, guys, right? So at this point, project output path, Sanity YouTube. Okay, that's cool. We're gonna hit enter on that. And now it says select a project template. So we've got a couple of examples here, right? The one that I want you guys to go down to is called the blog schema. Okay, so I want you to go down to the blog schema. And now the reason why I want you to do this is going to help shortcut the process for today's build, right? And you can reverse engineer it, do whatever you feel like afterwards. But we're going to go down to this and hit enter, right? Now, resolving latest module versions, going ahead and installing all the dependencies, looking good, right? Likes are more than the live watching viewers. Exactly, that's how strong the Papa Fam is right now. Guys, we have over 500 people watching across platforms today. What is happening to the Papa Fam? You guys are so sick. Thank you so much. I say that in a good way. Tony Connor says, any great work done by you as it is much more helpful to young web developers. That's what we're here for, dude. Thank you so much. All right. So let this install. And while we're at this, we actually should see that if we go back over to our Sanity panel. So if I go and log in, what we should see now is a new project, Sanity YouTube. Awesome. I'm going to click that. And as you can see, we're going to have this set up on the side, right? We're going to come back to this in a bit, right? This is basically going to be where we get our API key, where we mess around with things. Even the data sets that I mentioned before, you see one is production. And in this case, we actually get 2 out of the box. So we can do 1 of 2. And I think that's because of the quota. I'm not sure, right? The special bonus that we actually set up. But you can have a production and a staging, and then basically use your staging for when you're doing local dev work and production for when you're live, right? So very easy to do this stuff, right? And you've got access members. And what's really nice, guys, is that this right now, the Sanity Studio, where I manage all of the data, this is actually on my local host. But what is pretty damn cool is that this actual studio is built in JavaScript and React. So this studio that you're looking at right now is built with JavaScript and React. And what we can actually do is we can customize this to look however we want, which is insane, right? You can actually customize this entire thing to be whatever you want it to be. So that I thought was massive. And then once you're done with that, you can deploy it. So right now, this is a live URL, medium YouTube demo.sanity.studio. You have to go there and log in with the Sanity account that is authorized. So the one that I set it up with, and then I can access this from anywhere. So that is incredible. Another really cool thing about Sanity that I just want to show off quickly is imagine if I've got it open in 2 different places, right? So they're really awesome about collaboration as well. If I go to my post and I go to my first post, watch how the real-time functionality works. Not only is it showing me that Sunny is editing this, I can go ahead here and type in 1, 2, 3. And can you see how it's real-time updating? So if I type in 1, 2, 3, 4, and I go ahead and click publish, let's go and check out the website and see if it actually did anything. So I'm going to refresh. This is my first post, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's so incredibly simple to get working, right? Cyprian Greens from Canada, what's up? We've got Philippines in the house. What's up with Gungan, I think it is. Waving Cat. Good to see everyone. This is awesome. Only positive vibes here. Amazing stuff, guys. Right. So as we can see, we actually have this nice collaboration feature, which is real time. So if you're ever editing, you can actually go ahead and, work together in a team. Pretty simple. And it shows all your revised changes. So you can actually review all the changes that has done. So you can see here, Sunny made all these changes, me made all these changes. But if you had a big team, for example, Jay's on my team, he could be in here messing around with this stuff and I would see it. And I can actually quickly go ahead and make the changes and revert them. So I can actually revert and publish the older versions. Really cool stuff. And you're going to learn all of this today, right? And it's honestly, it's a bit of a game changer if you haven't used something like this before, right? So I like to introduce you guys to the things which I would use myself, hence why this is going to be something which you're going to love. Trust me, you're going to love it. Now, I want to bring your attention to this, right? As you can see, and also guys, smash the thumbs up button. We're almost at 500 likes already, and the video is not even like 20 minutes in, which is insane. So smash that thumbs up button, get this like count up to 1,000. We're gonna get to 1,000 today, quick, right? So as you can see, we've got the left-hand sidebar. So I'm gonna go ahead and remove this. Now on the left-hand sidebar, you can go ahead and see we've got the Next.js files, which are built in for us. But this green one right here, Sanity YouTube, right? Now this Sanity YouTube is basically where the Sanity Studio will live. Okay, so as you can see, there is a separate package JSON here, and there's a separate package JSON here. So if you're ever installing a dependency, please make sure you are in the correct folder. Okay, do not install it in the wrong folder. Otherwise, you're going to start experiencing a bunch of weird stuff going on, right? So just be careful with that. Also, guys, I want to mention that this actually handles image uploading, all that stuff for us. So it's super simple to go ahead and do that in this. Right. So what we're going to do now is go over to the pages and the index.tsx. So as you can see now, we have TypeScript out of the box with Create Next app. So it's perfect time to jump over. So you'll actually have a TypeScript file. Now, the only difference with TypeScript is it's just got a .tsx file, and now I can start writing TypeScript in here. Now, I want to go ahead and explain something to everyone. So TypeScript is not understood by the browser. JavaScript is. You can't give a browser raw TypeScript and it will show. It doesn't work that way. The way that we have to use TypeScript is TypeScript in itself basically is a superset. So imagine this is JavaScript. It basically wraps it and provides extra functionality in it. And the functionality that it does is called strongly type checking, right? So it becomes a strongly typed language essentially. This means that you will say that a string is a string. You will say that a number is a number and so forth. And that prevents a huge number of bugs from entering your app. Now, what's really cool about this is that basically the actual step to converting the TypeScript to JavaScript happens for us. So Create Next app actually does this behind the scenes, and this is called transpiling, right? So transpilation, and this is happening behind the scenes. When I save the file, this will get rendered all down to JavaScript, even if I've got TypeScript in here. So yeah, this is going to be super easy to go ahead and follow along. So no fancy stuff that you can do, that you have to do to set this up now. Is pretty much going to be working out of the box. So yeah, get ready to have some fun. Okay, at this point, we're going to go ahead and do Command J. And here I'm going to go ahead and do npm run dev, right? And this will go ahead and spin it up on our local 3000. So I've actually got it running on my local 3000. So I'm actually going to run it. Yeah, screw it. Let's do it. Let's run it on the 3001 so I can show you the old build as well. So at this point, I've got 3001 open as well. So localhost 3001. And yours is going to be 3000, right? So I've got this open now. So I'm going to push this on the left, push this on the right. Command B to hide the side, Command J to hide the bottom. And as you can see, I'm going to delete everything from the main downward to the footer, right? H1, I'm going to add in, say, this is medium 2.0. Oops, 2.0. As you can see, it's centered by default. This is because Tailwind's in play, right? So Tailwind, amazing utility classes that I love, and you will know me by now if you've seen any of the builds. I'm a big fan of them, right? We're going to go ahead and change the title of the page to medium blog, right? And hit save. And as you can see now at the top of the file, it says medium blog, right? So moving pretty good right now. I'm actually going to go ahead and get rid of all of this. So we actually have a clean slate to go ahead and start from. So I've got my reference over here, which is our home page. So we're going to go ahead and actually build this out piece by piece. Okay. Akos, thank you. He goes, hey, Sonny, keep growing your beard. It looks good, man. Thank you. Appreciate it, man. Appreciate that. I looked at the wrong camera there. That's so jokes. All right. So at this point, we're going to go ahead and create our first component. I want to build this top part, right? Charles Crook, what's up, dude? Good to see you. So we're going to go ahead and build this top section out right now. Okay. So what we're going to do is Command B, and I'm going to go ahead and actually create a components folder. So what I would like you to do is click package JSON, click the new folder icons. That way you're in the right place. Components. Okay. Now for components, we're going to create a new file inside of here, and we're going to call it header.tsx. Okay. And now I've got React snippets installed. So if you haven't got them, make sure you have. Check out my top 10 VS Code extensions video, which just dropped. But this is the one that you need to have installed. And this allows you to write _RFCE to go ahead and have the nice sort of drop down that comes for us. Although it should have worked. I don't know why it's not working there. Interesting. Okay. RFCE. Okay, there we go. Yeah, there we go. And then I just don't need the top bit. There you go. Cool. So at this point, I can go back to my code over here, and I can just type in H1, I am a header. Hit save, go back to my index, and I'm going to pull in my header through here. So I need to go ahead and type in header / for my component. And at the end of the word, control spacebar allows me to pull in my component really quick, right? Giancarlo goes, and he's looking fresh with the skin fade. I'm gonna get my hair cut tomorrow, innit? You know how we do, man. We have to look fresh on YouTube. All right, I love this. I love this community. All right, so at this point, we're gonna go over here, and you can see I am a header. So now we know that that is actually pulling in the header, okay? So at this point, I'm going to start building out the header component itself. And as you can see, it's no serious, like seriously fancy, weird stuff going on. It's literally just normal JavaScript that we can now start adding TypeScript to, okay? So I'm not going to introduce TypeScript just yet. We're going to build the header first. So first thing I want to do, change this to a header component, make it a little bit more syntactically friendly. And then we're going to go ahead and start things off. So on the left-hand side, I'm going to have a div with the medium logo with 3 bits of text, and on the right I'm going to have this. So that's 2 divs, and the way I like to think about this is, imagine we have one div here and another div here, and then we've got flexbox which says, hey, work out the space between this thing, right? Figure it out for me, I don't want to do it, right? So at this point what we can do is create 2 divs. So div times by 2 with Emmett, awesome stuff, right? And in the first div I'm going to go ahead and add in the link component. Now, this is actually a link component which we're using from Next.js. And the link component is actually pretty cool because what it does is, if you use a link component inside of a page, the page that it's actually linked to, it will pre-fetch that page by default, which means that the speed at which you'll go ahead and transition to that page, if the user clicks, it will be super fast because it's already fetched the page beforehand. If you didn't know, now you know, right? Uganda in the house, what's up, dude? Oh nice, BK Roland says, I motivated you when I got a Tesla. Thank you, dude. I'm gonna have a quick water break. We just beat 500 likes. Let's go, guys. Keep pushing 600 likes very soon. That's what I'm talking about. All right, at this point we've got a link. Now I'm going to go ahead and you have to give this a href, and as you can see, TypeScript does not let this go by. It says, whoa, you're missing the href. So we need to go ahead and say href, and this is going to go ahead and be a / because it's going to go to the home page. Okay, now it's missing children inside of it, so we're going to go ahead and do this. We're going to say image, and then inside the image I'm going to go ahead and pop in an image which I've provided over here. Now you can make this Next.js image if you want. I'm going to leave that up to you guys. Okay, so we have the medium picture. Awesome. All right, so medium picture at the top. I'm going to go ahead and give this a bit of styling with some Tailwind CSS. So class name, we're going to go ahead. Now you know. That's a good meme, actually. Yeah, I'm going to do that. That's actually from some other furniture dude. But anyway, if you know him, now you know, right? Object contain. And as you can see, it's gone ahead. Object contain will make us keep the aspect ratio, right? So it doesn't kind of stretch out and all sorts of stuff. Antonio, what's good, man? Marvin, hey, this is sick. We have literally over 500 people right now across platforms. Nearly at 600 likes. Smash it if you're watching. And I want this to have a cursor pointer, right, when I hover over it. So I'm going to go ahead and type in cursor pointer. Nice. Now when I hover over this, you can see, look, I get a nice little cursor pointer. Looks pretty sick, right? So we've got that done. Now, as you can see, if I click this, if I was on a different page, it would take me to that page, okay? So if I was to type in /post and I went ahead and clicked it, you can see it took me to /post, which we don't have, hence the 404, right? So I'm going to go back now and make this a /, right? So now we're going to go back to the second set of divs. Actually, we're going to do the underneath it first. I'm going to have a div inside of here, and I'm going to have 3 h3 tags, right? So actually, I'm going to say h3 times by 3. So emit, this is, by the way, in case anyone's wondering, h3 times 3, bam, I get the 3, right? First one is about, second one is contact, and the final one is follow. Awesome stuff. Okay. Now in the first one, I'm going to go ahead and actually, I'm going to leave the first one. I'm just going to style them all. So at the top of the div, I'm going to say that I actually want to go ahead and hide these bits of text when it's on a small screen. So those 3 links, I'm going to hide them. And what you could do is then go ahead and actually add in, oh, that's it. Yep, you can. I like that. That's Emmett, guys. And now you know. I'm going to do that. I'm going to start making YouTube shorts, right? Watching from Union Island. What's up, dude? So as you can see, when it gets smaller, these 3 disappear. So the way that we do that is we use breakpoints. CSS make this incredibly easy to do, right? Everything starts with the first mobile rule, and then it basically scales up. So anything I write without a breakpoint like MD, LG, or something like that for large screens and so forth is applied to mobile. Then you basically apply rules the bigger screen you get. This is called a mobile first design. So how do we do this? Well, what we do is we first say it should be hidden on the phone. Cool. Now, when I go into a medium screen, I want to go ahead and do an inline flex, okay? Now, that means that on a medium screen, it will now pop into the screen and I can see it. And then I'm going to go ahead and center the items and all that stuff. So as you can see here, it's there, but on a small screen, it's not there, right? So on the medium screens onwards, it pops in. Next thing, we're going to do items center. And then I'm going to go ahead and say the space between them should be at least about 5. So space between the things on the x-axis, bam, we've got 5, right? As you can see, this is not looking correct at the moment. And the reason being is the div that is surrounding the two hasn't got a flex rule applied. So if I do flex now, it goes ahead and centers it, or goes ahead and puts it in a line by default. Items center will center them on the y-axis, and then we're going to go ahead and say space x of 5 between this first child and this second container. That's why it's now spread out. Awesome stuff, looking pretty good. The final one, the follow button, I want to go ahead and give it this nice follow green, okay? So to start this one, I'm going to go ahead and say class name equals text white. And before I save it, because I'm not going to see it, we've got BG green 600. Hit save, bam, it's looking good already, right? And then we're going to go ahead and say PX4. Guys, if I do this whole now you know thing, I want you guys to blow it up. Right, almost at 600 likes. That's what I'm talking about. Wow. Right, so P, I'm going to go ahead and say padding on the x-axis of 4, padding on the y-axis of 1, and I want to make it rounded. So rounded 4, right? And if you haven't got these sort of pop-ups that you're seeing here, it's because you need the Tailwind CSS IntelliSense autocomplete tools. So this one right here. Okay, make sure you got that if you haven't got it. Okay, so at this point, we're looking pretty good, right? I'm going to go ahead and show you guys where we're at. We've got this. And now I'm going to go ahead and do the sign in and get started. Now, this is non-functional sign in and so forth. It's purely aesthetic. We've done tons of builds where we've got the sign in features. So you guys will get to know that if you want to do it. 600 likes. That's what I'm talking about. Momentum is stronger than ever. Nearly 500 viewers. Again, what is happening? Come on, let's go to 1,000. That's a mission, right? So second div, we're going to go ahead and have a H3. We're actually going to have 2 H3s. First one, I want to go ahead and say, right, sign in. And the second one, I'm going to say get started, like that. Nice, looks good. Now the first div, I'm going to say flexbox, items in the center. Cool. Now it's on the central axis and we're looking at these two right now, okay? So the chat's popping off. I can just see it in the corner of my eye. That's it. I'll make this a little bit bigger. I mean, that's a bit too big. I think in the current clarity, you can see this quite good. I'm going to go make that a bit smaller. There we go. I'll keep it there for now. Screw it. That's cool. All right. So at this one, we're going to go ahead and say items center space X of 5. Gwen, everyone switching to your second account to like again. That's what I'm talking about, Gwen. That's the support of the Papa Fam. All right. Now the text for these ones, I want to be green 6, right? So I'm going to say green or text green 600. All right, so down to 6. I like this because you can see the colors as well. So it actually adds it, makes it pretty easy. All right. Okay, cool. Looking pretty good. Now I'm going to go ahead and make our life a bit simple. I'm going to move this over here. So I've got a reference that I can just swipe between. Right, that's better. All right, so as you can see, we've got the green buttons and this one's got a little outlined border. So I'll go to my second sort of H3 tag and I'm going to say border. So give it a border. And then, I don't know, sounded Australian was that. Border PX4, PY of 1, rounded 4. Okay. So looking pretty clean. Nice. And then I'm actually going to go ahead and say the border should be a green color of 600. Bam. Looks sick. Now there's only one thing missing right now. This isn't looking right. This needs to be like kind of spaced out between itself. So what we need to do is go to the overall header and give this a class. And I'm going to say this is flexed. So now it's automatically flex, puts things in a line, right? Unless you're on React Native, in which is a column, but I'm not getting into that. We're going to say justify between. Now Bean says make a blog app. This is a blog app. Justify between will space the 2 children between each other, right? So justify between. Padding of 5 will give it a bit of padding so it's not cooped up in the corners. And then the final sort of magic is the max width, right? So as you can see, it uses the maximum until I get to the max width constraint. So what I want to do here is I want to say max width 7XL. And then to center it, so if I do that by itself now, you see it used the max width, but it didn't center itself. I want it to center itself like this. So the way we do that is we go here and we simply go ahead and say MX auto, save. Nice, looks pretty sick, right? And I like that. Right, let's go ahead and hit refresh. If you're reading the chat right now, it's so fun, right? Now, as you can see, MX auto means margin on the x-axis of auto. So auto apply margin here, auto apply here, in which case you center your object, okay? So looking damn good, guys. We literally have so many viewers. What is going on? Almost at 700 likes already. That's what I'm talking about. Wow, guys. I'm gonna go ahead and quickly chuck on some old school tracks because I can see loads of the OGs in the house. Let me go ahead and say, bam, bam, bam. Let me put on, you guys will recognize this. There we go. That's better. This is good. What challenge was this from? Let me know. All right, so at this point, we're gonna go ahead and probably, let's actually have a think. Let's move around and see what we're doing. So I'm gonna go ahead and actually add in this main bit now, right? So we're done with the header. Header is finished, right? I wanna now go ahead and you see the responsiveness. It looks pretty cool, right? Matrix, take care, Sunny is here. Juan Pablo, what's up, dude? So we're gonna go ahead and actually add in the header part now, and that is also responsive. Notice the M, look at the big M, bam, goes smaller and then eventually disappears. All right, and this is used as a new sort of decorator underneath. We're gonna show you how to do that as well. So we're gonna go back to our index.tsx. Now at the index level, you can componentize the banner part if you want. I'm not gonna do all of that in today's build because I wanna focus more on the actual sort of ISR and all those kind of concepts that you're going to be learning today, which I feel you'll benefit a lot more from, right? So we've got this now. Now inside of here, we've got two divs, right? So let's visualize this. On the left-hand side, we've actually got a div over here, right? And then we've also got another div over here, right? So we've got another div over here. So two children, 1, 2. And then that way we can go ahead and position them accordingly. So that's how you should see everything when you're coding like this. First one is the div, right? And we've got another div that I mentioned. So two divs. And then the first one, I'm going to say H1. And this is going to start having the thing. It's going to say medium is a place to write, read, and connect. Right? Read and connect. Cool. Hit save. Bam. So as you can see, this is the same thing we have here. And then the other H2 has actually got another bit of text, which I'm just going to paste in over here. I'm going to say that's a H2. This is a subheading and bam. Okay. Now for this H1, I'm actually going to go ahead and style it in a different way. I'm going to go ahead and say text 6XL to make it a little bit bigger. So as you can see, it starts looking a lot nicer, right? And then we're going to say max width of extra large. So it has a constraint that it can't go past that size. And I also want the font to change. I want it to be font serif, right? Because the Medium articles have this kind of, you know, retro kind of old school feel to it, right? So that's how we get this nice little effect in. Right, the next thing, the H2, I'm going to go ahead and actually we're going to leave the H2. Looks pretty good actually the way it is. And what I'm actually going to do is the medium. So this bit, I only want to style that medium part, right? So we're going to do this. Hey, Garincha says, I was actually looking for a way to implement a blog with React Next.js. And here comes Sunny reading our minds. Thank you, dude. I knew it was a demand, so I'm coming at you hot. We're going to take the medium and we're going to put it inside of a span tag. So this is the purpose for span tags. So basically, if you want to span a style in something like a H1, it's awesome to do so. So we've got our class name here. Jimmy says, love this OG song, sick, man. And then here I'm going to go ahead and say it should be underlined. So as you can see now, bam, we start getting style around just the medium part. Underline, and I'm going to say the decoration should be black. But I also, the reason why I put this in is because you can now do like red 500 and so forth. But in this case, I want to do black. That's fine. And then I'm going to do decoration should be a width of 4. Right, so I want to make it a bit smaller. Now you can actually have different zigzaggy ones and all sorts of stuff now. That's a new feature as part of Tailwind CSS version 3. So yeah, really cool. And remember guys, if you're setting up, do not forget to use the first link in the description to benefit from the Sanity bonus, right? And if you haven't already, also, and the React stuff's getting hard, React Basics, check it out, right? Plug. At this point, we've got the div that surrounds everything. So I'm going to go ahead and say this div should have a padding on the x-axis of 10, because right now it's touching the side too much. And then I'm going to give it a space between the Y components. So in this case, it's the heading and the subheading of, let's say, 5, right? So now we've got a nice bit of spacing. Awesome, looking pretty good, right? So with that in place, now what I'm going to do is add in the second thing. So outside of here, as we only have a picture, we don't actually need to wrap it in a div, right? We need to go ahead and just go and say something like this, image, right? Jay cracks me up. All right, so at this point, I'm trying to read something. Okay, so at this point, I'm going to go ahead and pop in a picture. Now, this is just a Medium logo. You can feel free to copy the one that I've got here, right? You can pause it, copy that. I didn't actually shorten that one. I apologize. I usually shorten them, but yeah, we're going to hit save, and that's the Medium logo that we're going to be using. Now, to style this, I'm going to do class name. Now, remember, mobile first, utility classes. So the first thing I write for Tailwind CSS is going to be applied to the mobile, and then I'm going to use breakpoints to target the bigger sizes. So in this case, hidden, I want to say medium. So all medium screens, then it should appear. I want the height to be 32, and I want to do on the large screens, the height should be full. So use up as much space as you can on the large. So phone, it's hidden. On the next screen, it's a medium size. On the next screen, it's a bigger size. Cool, looking pretty good. Right, so it's already getting a bit responsive. Now the final key to this is the surrounding div, which has the two children in, which is this one and this image, right? So we've got two children inside of here. So over here, I'm going to say flex. And in fact, I'm going to do half and half so you can see it, right? So flex, and I'm going to say justify the space between. Okay, so that way it's going to push it to the side. Items should be centered. So that way it does exactly what we said there. So centering, as soon as I hit save, bam, centers it. The background should be a yellow of 400, which is a shade that I found suited medium, right? So yellow 400, border Y. So border Y. We're going to go ahead and say, yeah, border on just the Y-axis, so top and bottom. And I want that border to be black, okay? And as you can see, bam, we get this. Now, as you can tell, there's too much padding. There's not enough padding, sorry. So the padding should be by default 10 on phones. And when I get to a bigger screen, I want to remove that padding, okay? So on the bigger screens, I want to remove the padding, so padding of 0. So if we go into a bigger screen now, I remove it. And the reason why I remove it is because the image is actually bigger, so it takes up more room, hence we don't need the extra padding, right? Smash the like button, that's what I'm talking about. We're literally about to hit 700 likes. That's crazy. When I hit 700, I'm going to have a water break. But there you go, looks sick, right? Only thing we're missing here is a max width constraint. So what I'm going to do here, I mean, you could keep it like that. It looks pretty cool because it spans across, right? But what I want to do is go to the top class name, and I'm going to go ahead and say that this one should have an overall max width constraint of 7XL, and I want it to be MX Auto, right? Now, as you can see, bam, we get this lovely centered display, which goes ahead and looks awesome on a phone, but on a desktop, it centers. The reason why you don't want it to span across is because imagine they're on a 4K screen. It just looks awful, right? It can't see anything. Oh, we just got a donation. What did I get? Oh, who's that? Is that Jason Taylor? Oh, Jason Taylor goes, this is epic. He goes, show some love for the pop fire around. Thank you, Sonny. Keep it going. Thank you, Jason Taylor. Appreciate you, dude. Awesome stuff. We broke 700 likes just like that. I'm going to have a quick water break. We're moving at such a good speed right now. We are killing it, guys. All right. So we're going to jump into the real juicy bit as well now. So there's Sanity CMS. Right, so get ready for the fun stuff now, okay? So Vercel says, it's always fun watching live. Yeah, man, that's it. It's always fun, right? We're going to aim for 800 likes right now. Punch it. Let's do it. I want to see how quickly we can get there. Okay, so we've got this done. So now I'm going to start marking things out. So underneath this banner, right, which again, you can componentize. It's up to you. Underneath here, I'm going to go ahead and have the posts. And then, yeah, so that would basically be where the post would be seen. So these posts, right? These will be fetched from Sanity CMS. So we're going to go ahead and set that up in a bit as well. Okay. So at this point, we need to do that. We're going to do that in just a sec. And I'm going to show you now, the first thing that we should possibly do is we could do it on this screen, to be fair, first. Okay, let's actually do it on this screen first, right? So what I want to do now is I'm going to start the interaction with Sanity. So heading over to our Sanity code base, let's go over to Sanity YouTube. Now, what you want to do is we're going to come back to this in a sec for the settings portion, where I'm going to need the API settings and the keys. I'm going to create a token over here in a bit as well when we go ahead and add mutations. But what I want to do is I'm actually going to spin up the Sanity server. Okay, so I'm going to cut my old Sanity server that I had running elsewhere. And to basically run the Sanity Studio, I'm going to create a new window, new terminal window, and I'm going to type in. So I need to go ahead, and if I type in ls, it shows all the files that I have around me, right? So as you can see, Sanity YouTube is one of those files around me, right? So make sure you go into Sanity YouTube. So Sanity YouTube is the one, so you'll probably have to do CD. If you're using optimise SSH, you don't have to. So now I'm inside of Sanity YouTube, and as you can see, inside of Sanity YouTube, we have our own package JSON. So it says like its own mini project inside, right? So we're going for a mono repo structure. Innerman Arts, thank you so much. $5 donation. This is really cool. Am I able to make a feature for people to leave their comments with Sanity as well? Thanks for the content, Sunny. Yes, dude. In fact, we actually did that inside this build. So I'll go ahead and show you a quick demo so everyone can see who's joined in. You can actually leave comments in this build as well. Right, so you're going to learn everything in today's build. So thank you so much for going ahead and donating, dude. I appreciate you. Right. So at this point, to start things off, you would have done Sanity login by now, but if you haven't, make sure you have. We've already done Sanity init to set the things up. So now what we want to do is Sanity start. This will spin up the Sanity Studio. Right. Hey, that's the donation that came through. Nice. Right. So at this point, we need to go ahead and do Sanity start. This runs up our local studio. So at this point, we have two apps running. We have our Next.js app, which is running the front end, and then we have the Sanity Studio, which is our back end. Okay. So once you understand this, it should be pretty simple to get into. Go to localhost 3000. So I'm going to go ahead and click into this. And as you can see, it says connecting to Sanity, please log in. So what we need to do is log into the same account. I'm going to use my Google login. So at this point, I'm going to quickly log into my Google account, make sure it's the same account right now. So that way you can go ahead and do access the details. Otherwise, it actually locks you out. All right. So it's actually pretty secure like that. All right. So at this point, what am I doing? All right. So as you can see, boom. All right. So Nina, love the energy. Thank you so much, dude. I appreciate it. All right. So here we can see we've got Sanity YouTube. So this is the introduction to the studio. As you can see, we already have some data types or schema sort of components inside of it. And what we can see is it's important to understand this bit. So on the left hand side, inside of schemas, you can see we have a few here. We have post, we have author, and we have category. Now, if I was just to look at post, for example, you can see this is basically like a blueprint, right? It's got the name, which is the post. That's the type here. The actual title that is represented on the screen, capital P post. The type is document. Now, I'm not going to go too far into the actual documentation of how this works, but I'm going to show you how to use it. The Sanity docs are pretty awesome, but once you use it, it will make a lot of sense, right? It's always funner to just use it and show. Now, if I see fields, you can see what does a post consist of. So if I was to create a new post, you will now see, and I can actually make these bigger and smaller and so forth. We can see a title, which is a string value. We have a slug, which is basically going to be the URL that goes ahead of our, when we're on the website. So in this case, if I go /post, you can see it's /post / this is my first post is the slug, right? We have the author. Now the author is of type author. So it references another schema, which basically defines a author, right? So we're going to basically connect to that afterwards. And as you can see, it goes on. So we've got the image, we've got categories, we've got published at, block content. Block content we've actually defined, and this allows us to have basically rich text. And then we've got this preview down here, okay? I'm not going to get into the preview bit, but here we've got the main bits that we need to kind of focus on. So at this point, we're going to go ahead and we're almost at 800 likes, crazy stuff, right? So I'm going to go ahead and create my first post. So let's go ahead and say my first post. Right, and before we do that, let's actually create an author, right? You can actually do it here as well. So we can do that. I'm going to click generate and it creates my first post. So if I haven't already created an author, which I could have done in the separate tab, I can click create new here and it just goes ahead and embeds it and does it for us here. So it's really clean how we can do this. So at this point, I'll say Sunny Sanga, generate, and let's generate a slug for us, drop an image. I'm going to quickly go ahead and find an image of myself right now. In fact, I'm going to do Elon Musk, right? So I'm going to go ahead and change the name to Elon Musk. So Elon Musk. Generate. Okay, so at this point, bam, I've gone ahead and selected an image. We've got Elon. Now bio, you can say I'm Elon. Oops, what's happened there? So we can say I'm Elon. Okay, exclamation mark. There you go. Right, and you can make it bold. You can do whatever you want, and also so this is going to be that bio. You can pull this information. Now this is in the draft state. So this is in a draft state right now. So I'm going to publish this change that we have. And as you can see now, I can use the author and I can go ahead and close that tab. So we've got the author and I can reuse that in several future posts. Now for the image, let's go ahead and attach an image to our first post. So I'm going to go ahead and click upload. And for this one, I'm going to go ahead and try and find a, let's just go ahead and use one of my thumbnails, right? So I'm going to go ahead and use the medium clone thumbnail in this case, right? So I'm going to go ahead and pull in the medium clone thumbnail. So I just selected the medium clone thumbnail. It should come in soon. There we go. So you can see this is what we're building today. And you can see I've not done any extra logic to make, you know, the actual sort of uploading features and all that stuff. It just works really nicely by using these schemas, right? Categories you can add. I'm not going to cover categories too much today. Publish, that works. And then here for the body. Oh, we got another one. Hey, Barrow in the house. 1,000. What's the Chizek sort of currency? It's called Krona, I think, right? But thank you, dude. Appreciate you, man. Always crushing it, coming in with donations. This is the first post on the Medium build. Bam, right? And then let's just say, boom. Okay, and we can have an image in there as well. So I'll go ahead and pop an image in here in this article. Let's go ahead and insert an image. I'm going to go ahead and pop an image in. Pulls up a nice little kind of thing. And I'm going to go ahead and pop in the same image over here. So we've got this image as well inside, right? And then what you can actually do is you can click edit details. And what's really cool about this is you can actually hot zone it, right? So in this case, on a smaller screen, it'll look like that. But you can actually go ahead and say what it will zoom into. So let's make the full width the entire picture, right? So I can actually change this to, oops, where's it gone? Where's my circle gone? Let's go ahead and make this, yeah, the full thing, the entire picture. But the actual hot zone, you can actually change. So that way, when it zooms into the picture, it will go ahead and actually show only the face, right? So you see this, it looks pretty cool, right? But that's kind of a cool little extra feature. But in this case, I can go ahead and click publish. Okay. So that is it. That was literally got a post up and running, right? So in this case, we've got our first post. It's got an actual relational connection to an author. So if we look at the author, he's actually got his own post, and we can start doing queries based off of this information. Okay. So, hey, someone's asking, Joe Williams, how was Dubai, my guy? I'll be back in Dubai very soon, and also maybe permanently. So stay tuned, right? I might vlog it as well. Let me know what you guys want. Nearly 800 likes, guys. Killing it today. So we got the first post here. So I've actually published this now. So we now need to go ahead and pull this into our app. Okay. Now I want to show you guys something. They have something called the Vision tab, right? And this Vision tab is really handy for going ahead and selecting certain things. So in this case, I've got a dummy thing that I was using over here, but I'm going to go ahead and simplify this and go ahead and show you how this works, right? So if I go ahead and just select, let's go ahead and say select all of the types. Basically, this is the grok syntax. So don't be afraid when you see this. When I first saw it, I was like, whoa, what is that? But then I tried it out, I got used to it, and it's actually really simple once you get the hang of it, okay? So check this out. So if we're gonna go ahead and say anything with the underscore is basically like a built-in attribute that is given by the guys over at Sanity when you create something. So the type is for the post, which is a schema type. You also have underscore ID, which is the ID, which is assigned to that document and so forth. And anything that we have is basically just going to be like title, for example. Okay, so in this case, I'm checking for all the types where it's type post. Okay, I'm going to pull the ID. Oh, thank you, Hadi Boukdir. I've started 2022 with joining Papa Fam Diamond, and that's one of the best decisions in my life. Thank you, Sunny and Jay. That's what I'm talking about, Hadi. Awesome Diamond member. If you guys want to join Zero to Full Stack Hero, papareact.com. Be like Hadi and absolutely crush it, right? So I'm going to go ahead and select all the posts. So if I click fetch, we can now see it fetches me this. So the ID came back. But what if I want more information, right? So I can actually start just pulling things out. So if I want the title to come back as well, I can do Command Enter to go ahead and do a quick search. There you go. The title comes back. If I want to get the description, right, which we don't actually have at the moment, so I'll show you how to add a description. But if I want to get the slug as well, bam, just like that, I get the slug, I get the ID, and I get the title, right? Really nice, and it's super easy to query, right? So I'll show you how you can go ahead and do this, right? Byron says, send me a portfolio link. Nice. Yeah, this is going to be on the channel after a session is finished, so do not worry, guys. Okay, so what we need to now do is basically run this query from our front end and pull in the information. Now, remember I said it was connected to an author? So if we run this by itself, what if I want the author's details? Well, an author is pretty cool, right? So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and show you how it looks when we have the actual sort of data structure and how we sort of reference it and pull information from it. So if I go over to the desk, which is where we have our authors. And I can see right here's the author. If I go to my post, you can see the structure was this. It was ID, title, slug. So title, slug, author. How do I pull this information, right? So in this case, all I need to do is type in author, and then I do this arrow. Okay, and this arrow is basically the syntax to then go ahead and pull the information out. So in this case, an author has a name and an author has an image. I hit enter, bam, just like that now, I have the name and I have the image. And this is of type asset, which we can go ahead and use a special function to go ahead and pull this information from. Okay, so looking pretty neat right now. Okay, so you guys can take your time with this. Go ahead and do this when you feel ready, and do not feel freaked out, right? This is naturally where I'm going to see people freak out and be like, oh my God, I don't know what's going on, right? So at this point, this is how we basically go ahead and query. So now I need to go ahead and basically make a connection to the Sanity client. So what I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and do Command B, and I need to go to my upper level. So I like to click this button to go ahead and shut everything off, package.json, and I'm going to go ahead and create a Sanity file to go ahead and connect to everything from. Okay, so this Sanity file is going to be here, much like we do firebase.js. I'm going to do sanity.js. Okay, now here I've got some sort of code that I've got from a demo or sort of an example on the Sanity website, but I'll explain it. But honestly, I'm not going to go line for line because you can grab this online as well, right? I'm going to show you how to get it as well. Right. Momo, thank you for a $20 donation. Massive. Thank you for this. I know it takes tremendous effort to build such beautiful content. Excited about TypeScript and everything else. That's crazy. Thank you so much. Appreciate that donation, dude. I'm going to go ahead and enjoy that with some sushi afterwards. Nice. So in this case, I need to install something called Next Sanity. Right. So Command J. So you can see I've got my two apps running right now, Sanity Studio, Next.js. I'm going to pull up a third, right? Well, in this case, it's put it in the middle. And I'm going to go ahead and say npm install Next Sanity, right? So I'm going to go ahead and make sure you can see that. npm install Next Sanity. And as you can see, trending news says, hey, Sunny, can we add post and Sanity via third-party API? You probably can, right? And then they've got web hooks and all this other good stuff. Right, let's carry on. So, thank you guys, all the support, amazing stuff. Nearly at 800. I'm going to bring the music up to get a bit more hyped. Let's go ahead and do this. Bam. Okay. So Next Sanity installed. Nice. So now I can go ahead and pull in some useful functions from this. This is going to be like our configuration file. Okay. So first thing I want to do is create something called a config. Right now, I'm going to go ahead and show you what the config looks like and then explain it line by line. Okay, so this is our config. It's literally an object which starts here, ends here, and it's got 4 things inside of it. It's just got some comments in, right? So we can find our project ID and our data set inside of sanity.json. Now, where do we find this? Basically, if I do Command B, and I go into my Sanity folder that was created, and I go down to sanity.json, I can see my project name is here, and my project ID is here, and the data set is here, right? Now I'm gonna go ahead and actually add these to my environment variables, okay? So Command B, I'm gonna go close everything off, go to my package.json level, do .env.local. And this is basically where you store your environment variables, such as your IDs, okay? So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and pop this underneath. So I'll split the terminal. And what I want to do is I basically want to have my, where's it gone? I'm going to go to my Sanity YouTube, Sanity JSON, pull it up here. So I'm going to get my project ID and my data set. So I need 2 things. The first one I'm going to do is call it next_public sanity dataset, right? This one, I'll explain the next public part in a second, but the dataset is going to be called production, right? So in this case, you don't need the quotes. You can just do production. And then the next one I'm going to do is Sanity Project ID. And this is going to be this one right here. Okay. So I've got these 2 environment variables set up. Now, what we're doing here is if we just had the variable name without next public, it's going to be visible only on the API for Next.js, right? So we're only for the API routes. This means your credential will never get leaked to the client. So if they were to inspect and try and console log it out, it would be undefined, right? So this is what they do to protect you out of the box. For the data set and project ID, it's not sensitive information. So I want this to be on the client as well because I do some querying with it. Hence why if you add in next public before the variable name in your environment variable, it allows it on the client and the API, okay? So let's jump into this. So that's the two things we need. Now there is going to be a final one that we're going to use for, which is called Sanity API token. But this one, I'm going to go ahead and give you the value of this afterwards. Okay. So we're going to save that file, close it, Command J, and I need to restart my Next.js server. Right. So go down here and I need to restart this npm run dev. Anytime you change your environment variables, you need to go ahead and do this, right? Boom, 800 likes. That's what I'm talking about. 900, this be 1,000. Oh, so sick, right? Somebody said you should start vlogging. Oh, dude, I've got it coming, man. I've got it coming. Trust me. The Earth said it. Thank you so much. I appreciate the name as well. Right. So we've got Sanity JSON over here. I'm going to close this off. Command J. And now what you can see is we've got our data set, which is basically going to try and use the one that we have, which is production. Otherwise, it will default to production. It uses our project ID over here and then the API version. This is the default one that we have at the moment. Okay. Use CDN is basically going to be, if it's in production mode, then it will use the CDN. Otherwise, it won't use a CDN. Now, CDN is basically a way of caching your your website on local edge servers. I'm not going to go too far into it, but it's called a content distribution network. It means that your pages or your apps get served really fast from, imagine if your server was in America and they had a CDN server over in Europe. When somebody visits from Europe, it's going to cache in Europe, that edge server, and then it gets delivered from that network. That's how Netflix, that's how all these guys do it. They use CDNs, right? So at this point, we've hit save. We've got our config looking pretty decent, right? So we've got that config object. Now I'm going to go ahead and actually improve this. I need some functions that are going to use all this stuff. So the one that I need is firstly the most important. I need something called Sanity client. So what I'm going to do is export const Sanity client equals create client, which we imported over here. And I'm going to pass in the config. Okay. Now this is going to basically be what we use to fetch information, make queries, all this kind of stuff. Pink Panther, keep Perky, Panny in the house. What's up, Panny? There we go. I was wondering, I was like, that's an interesting name. But yeah, we got Sanity client. So you need that to go ahead and make a query to our Sanity CMS backend, okay? So that's the one that's going to be probably the most important. Now, there's also another thing. So remember, I showed you guys that you can get the image. So for example, when I pulled Elon Musk as an author, came back with some weird data type, which was the image. So I'm going to show you a helper function, which is going to go ahead and extract the URL from the image, right? This one is going to be this function over here. Now, these are in the documents, right? But this is basically the one that you need. So it's an arrow function and it's called URL4. It takes source as an argument and we use this function that we pulled in at the top, pass in the config, and basically you execute a function called image and pass the source through. So basically, long story short, I'll use this, I'll pass in the source that we get back from that query, and then it will give me an image URL, okay? Trust me, it's pretty simple once we use it, okay? There is another final one, which we're not gonna use right now, but it's probably pretty handy just to show you. Use current user. We're not using that today, but it's another helper function which I recommend, okay? So that is the config done. So with the config done now, I need to basically use that Sanity client to make a fetch from our local, right? So basically I need to go ahead and fetch from our Sanity CMS. So how the hell do I do this, right? So I'm going to show you two things today, right? On the home page, I'm going to show you something called a server-side render. This means anytime somebody comes to the home page, it's going to go ahead and render per request, right? So I'm going to explain Next.js in a nutshell, and this should be something which should help a lot of people out with their understanding with Next.js. I'm going to go ahead and do what I like to do. I like to have an empty terminal and kind of just draw on the screen. So with Next.js, right, typically we have React, right? So in this case, typically we have, let me go ahead and do this. Typically we have a React app, right? Now in a normal React app, we might have something like this, right? This is our window, and then the user comes to our website, right? Now, typically the entire bundle gets delivered to the user. The problem with traditional React without Next.js is that bundle can get pretty heavy, which means every single picture, every single page, every single thing that you need is inside of that one bundle. The bundle gets heavy. That's not good for when you start growing your app, right? So this is why Next.js is such a big deal, right? The reason being is because the user now, basically, think of it this way, passes through a middle server, okay? So let's think of this middle server as Next.js, okay? Now this Next.js server is basically just part of the interaction for the user, but they just don't know, right? So this is our user over here. Imagine they come to our website. Now, instead of getting an entire massive bundle delivered to them, instead now it will only give them the page, right? So it page splits. So this is why you'll notice that whenever we have our folder structure in here, everything's inside of pages, because if it's index.tsx, it's the home page. If it's search.tsx, it'll be /search and so forth. It makes it really, really simple to have pages. And we call this page splitting. So instead of delivering this massive bundle, we just give the page. So now if the user wants to go to /post, it will basically only go ahead and give that page. Now, there's different ways in which we can go ahead and render these pages, right? So initially, if we don't do anything, so if I leave my site right now like this, right, we call this static rendering. And what happens with static rendering is everything is essentially done on the, basically this page is pre-built at build time. So whenever we build and deploy the site, all the pages get pre-built. And this means that we can still have JavaScript running on the client, but that's kind of slow, right? That means that you're typically going to see some spinning indicator or some loader and all that kind of crap. And we don't like that spinning indicator, right? We want things to be fast, super efficient and so forth, right? So there's a few ways to eradicate this issue. One of them is to introduce something called server-side rendering. So we call this SSR, right? And what this does is, let's imagine the /post comes in, it comes through, hits the server. Now the server renders per request when we use SSR, right? So if we use SSR, this means it's going to render this out per request, right? So every single request that anyone makes, it builds the page on the server and then delivers the entire page over to the user, right? So it builds it on the client, which means that the user no longer sees this kind of like spinning indicator. It's just bam, they come into your site, the page was already built on the server and it just got delivered to you, right? So this is already pretty sick. And I'm going to show you this one first, then I'll show you the next level up, which is static pages, which can actually update every sort of 60 seconds, for example, and keep up with dynamic data. So pretty cool, right? So in this case, we're going to do our first SSR. Now to make SSR work inside of Next.js, it's actually pretty damn simple. You can go to the bottom or you can do it at the top. It's up to you. But basically, we just have to use a special function called get server side props. And guys, we are literally almost at 900 likes. You know what to do if you're enjoying this video. Destroy that thumbs up button, right? Export const, and we're going to call it, we have to say get server side props, okay? Now here we go ahead and say asynchronous function, right? And what's pretty cool with this is basically where the server pre-builds the page. So this runs every request now. So this will basically make that route. So in this case, the /, this is the home page. This will change the home page route into a server-side rendered page route, right? So now every time somebody comes on, it gets built on the server first, then it gets delivered. So this is what's happening right now. And we're going to go ahead and create a query. Okay. Now the query that we're going to create is going to be one, which is going to be for fetching the information from Sanity. Okay. So let's head over to Sanity. And the query that I want to do is, I've already prepared this for us, is this one. So we're going to fetch all of the posts, hence this one here, all of the posts, right? All basically an array of posts. And I want the ID, title, author, blah, 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 and description, main image, and slug. Now, description we didn't have before, right? So I'm going to go ahead and show you how we can upgrade our post to have a description now as well. So first thing we're going to do is over here, we don't have a description, yeah? So I'm going to show you Command B. Let's head over to our schema. Let's head over to our post. And over in our schema for the post, what I can now do is I can literally add in another field. Right? And it's pretty simple. All I do is basically do the same thing I've got here, and I can go ahead and say description. Oops, description, spell it right, like me. Capital D for the title, and then I can say string. Cool. And then what I can actually do is I can even upgrade the title and basically have something like a description for the title saying, keep the title short, man. So now if I hit save, watch how it rebuilds this, shows me a thing, and as you can see now, the title has keep title short, and we can have a description for that post. So this is the first ever post on YouTube build, on the YouTube build. Nice. Right. And then you can see we're in draft state. So as you can see, it's always saving. So it's always actually real-time saving, but we actually want to publish this change. And now this change is made appropriate, right? So it's actually live. That's what I'm talking about, guys. We smashed that. Crazy, man. Wow. 900 likes already. Quick water break. Oh man, that is needed. Right, Jay, this is sick. We're literally nearly 1,000 likes already. Killing it. Okay. So we have this looking pretty good. I'm actually going to go to some other tracks now. I like to mix it up a bit. Boom. Okay. So at this point, we've got our schema, which has been updated, right? And I'm going to show you how to even add a new schema as well, right, in a bit. So we've got 1,000 likes on the way. Pretty sick. So this query right now, okay? So I showed you the query earlier, and let's go ahead and test it. So if I go ahead and paste this in, oops, not that one. I'm going to go ahead and get my original query, which was this right here. Okay. So I've now got all of this information in. Let's go ahead and query. I can see I've got this. I've got the description now, the main image, the slug, the title, sick. Right. I've got everything in. This is pretty good. So I'm going to copy this so we can test it here. And then I'm going to go over here to my query. I'm going to use backticks now. Okay. So backticks is what I need to do. Right. Backticks, pop it in. And then I'm going to go ahead and put a colon after this. Now, this is basically going to allow us to have this query be executed. Now, you can do clever things. You can go ahead and move the queries to another file, all that stuff. But I'm going to go ahead and keep it quite simple now. Then I'm going to say const posts equals await. And here I'm going to use the Sanity client. So I'm going to say Sanity client, right? And I need to go ahead and import the Sanity client. So let's just double check if we have actually got the Sanity client available to us. So Sanity... We've got our Sanity client over here. Yeah, we have. So I need to go ahead and import it. Sanity.js. Okay, I've done it in JavaScript. That's fine. Yeah, you don't have to have it all in TypeScript. That's fine. We can have a combination of the two. It's fine. Sanity client. I need to import this. So what I want to do is import the URL as well function, because I'm going to use that later as well. So import it from Sanity. It's one folder up. So I do 2 dots. Cool. And now we've got our Sanity client. Then I'm going to go ahead and say Sanity client.fetch, right? And then I'm going to pass the query in. Okay. So at this point, I'm going to pass the query in. Now, how do I get the server-side rendered data back into the component? Well, it all works through props. So it's actually very simple to get working once we actually mess around with this. So what I now do is on the server-side render, remember this is happening at that server rendering step. So the user comes in. This is at this step where we have the server-side rendering portion, right? And then once it's done, the data, how do we get this over here? Well, we pass it through the props inside of React. So it's actually kind of simple if you know what props are. We say return. And if you don't, there's tons of videos on my channel about it. We return some props, and the props are actually going to be the posts that we just rendered. Okay. So with this done, what we can now do is go ahead and pull our props in through the top. So this is where the props come in, right? And as you can see, we get this new error, and it says parameter props implicitly has an any type. So as you can see, this is where TypeScript's saying, whoa, whoa, whoa. You can't just go gung-ho and start typing stuff in. You have to tell me what a post looks like, right? Because otherwise you're going to run into a bug at one point, and I'm not going to deal with that shit. So this is how you basically fix it, right? So at this point, what we do is we have to define what the props look like, right? So we can go ahead and say props. Now I'm going to show you how to go ahead and define a type. So in this case, we can call it a type, or I'm going to show you interfaces. Now, interfaces are better than types because you can do something called extending. Basically, you can inherit types from other types. I'm not going to get too far into it, but we're going to use interface. And we're going to say define basically what do the props look like? Well, in this case, we've got posts that come in. So these posts, and this is going to be an array of type post, and we haven't actually got the post already. You know, you can write it like this, or you can actually write it like this. Oops. Or you can write it like this, post array. Both work the same way, but I kind of like it like this. Now I'm going to go ahead and create this type, but I'm not going to create it in here because I'm going to need this actually shared amongst different files, right? So I'm going to go back to my top level where I've got sanity.js, create a new file, and I'm going to call this one typings.d.ts. Right? And what this means is it's a definition TypeScript file. Okay, so this definition file basically is how we go ahead and store our type definitions in an external file. So here I can say export const and I can, export interface, and I can go ahead and define what a post is here. Right. So in this case, I've actually gone ahead and defined it. So the first three things that we have are the ID, the created at, and the title. Right. And I found all of these things over here. Right. So you can actually see where we get these from. We can actually see it if we go into post over here and I go into inspect. Right. You can actually get all of the data fields over here. So this is actually how you check it. Right, so I'm basically going ahead and you can add in the additional ones like rev and all those things as well, type even if you want. I've only added in a couple, right? Even for the author where we had a nested structure, right? This one you can go ahead and add in something like the name, which is a string. And we can also have the image, which is a string as well, and so forth. And basically you can keep on defining your structure, right? In this case, I'm going to go ahead and push these in here, right? So we've got the description, main image, asset, which has a URL inside of it, slug, which has a current string inside of it. And this just means it's an object with a current inside of it. And then the final one, body. Body is just an array of objects. So we're going to keep it super sweet and simple, right? And again, you can take your time, research TypeScript if you don't understand this, but this is just defining what a post looks like. And you'll see why this is really good in a second, right? So if I go back to index.tsx and I import this now from typings, you can see it stopped complaining, right? Now what's cool, if I type in props dot, you can see I got posts and it knows that it's an array. So I get all the array functions, right? Because we've said it's an array of posts over here, okay? So what I can actually do here is I can destructure and I can get the posts out. So we already get this and we can have destructuring with TypeScript. So it's really looking really good now. Now our code is extremely robust, right? This means that we're less likely to make errors in our code, which are going to show up in production, right? Guys, we're so close to 1,000 likes. Just destroy that like button if you're enjoying this, right? So we have the post looking pretty good here. Now, what I'm going to do is just test that I get anything back. So I'm going to do console log posts and I'm going to check the the output and see if we're actually getting anything, right? So as you can see, if I do F12, so I inspect and I go ahead and do a refresh, let's go ahead and see, do we get anything back? Aha, so our server-side render worked. The information came back. And as you can see here, we've got the first thing, right? First time watching live, Zachary Watts. What's up, dude? Killing it, bro. Nice. So we've got all of the information that I actually queried back. So we got the main image, the author, so forth. And this is all correct. This is everything we needed, right? So I'm going to use this post now, or this array of posts, to render out the posts that we see on the home page. So all of this stuff, right? So all of this stuff I'm going to go ahead and build now, even with a nice little hover effect. Okay, and we're even going to have the author's picture on there as well, right? So it's going to be pretty cool. Overdrive MC says, yes, found you in your live. That's what I'm talking about, dude. Smash the thumbs up button and enjoy the show, man. So over here, we're going to go ahead and close this and I'm going to go ahead and build. Ooh, okay, come on, B. So I've got my posts. Posts are good, right? Now, what's really nice about Tailwind, about TypeScript, is that it actually allows you to code more efficiently once you have your types done. So now that I've done my types, I can safely access the posts and know what I'm dealing with. So it actually allows me to code pretty fast. So here I'm going to have a div with all the posts in. I'm going to map through all the posts. So I'm going to say post.map, basically go through every post, and every single post, I'm going to go ahead and return some JSX, right? Now in this case, I'm going to have each of the posts is actually going to be a link. So I'm going to import the link component from Next.js. And that link component is going to have a key. And the key is going to be post dot. And as you can see, I get my autocomplete because I have the TypeScript definitions in, right? So TypeScript is so sick like that because it allows us to have all this handy stuff. So you can see I can already code pretty fast and be sure that it's correct, right? Now we need the href. Now the href here is going to be post dot. And in fact, what I'm actually going to do here, I'm going to do backticks. And the reason why is I'm going to go to the /post/ whatever slug is associated with that post. So I'm going to say post dot, and then we've got the slug. And then here is slug.current, right? So as you can see, looking pretty good at this point, right? And it's already kind of working. If I do a div inside of here, and inside this div, I'm just going to do h1, I am a post. I just want to check something. And you can see I'm a post shows up. And it's actually a link that went through to my first post. So it actually is working at the moment. We just need to make it look better, right? So first thing I want to do is put the image out. So for the image, I'm going to pop out the image, and I'm going to use that handy function that I created earlier, the URL for function. Okay. So Override MC says, I'm so happy you're doing this. TypeScript, I've always wanted to learn it. Awesome stuff, dude. I hope you enjoy this and it helps you out. We're going to do URL for, right? And as you can see, we imported that earlier from our earlier Sanity helper. I'm going to go ahead and push in a file here. So I'm going to say post.mainImage. Okay. And I'm going to do dot afterwards and say, get me the URL. Okay. So this source right here is basically going to go ahead and the reason why this is complaining is because it's saying it could be a string or it could be no. So I'm going to basically ensure that it's not no by adding a exclamation mark over here, right? And you could even protect this another way, and you can say only render this block if there is a post.mainImage. This is another way of rendering a protected block. So you could even do it this way, right? But in this case, I just want to be a bit gung-ho with it, right? Just Tech Sing, what's up, dude? $10 donation. Thank you. Coffee's on me, bro. Amazing build. Can't thank you enough for Papa Fam for getting my first 2 gigs in the industry, brother. Thank you, dude. Just Tech and me are having an accountability program right now. And dude's awesome. Thank you so much for tuning in, man. And thank you for the donation. So if I click save now, let's see. Bam! That's coming straight from Sanity CMS, guys. And it's a clickable link. That is sick. It's working, right? It's working pretty good, right? And you can see we didn't even do much to get the crazy functionality that we have so far. So sick, right? So inside of here, I've got another div. And over here, I'm going to have a few things. So now I want to basically go ahead and build this bit out. So I'm going to have the title and so forth with the author's picture. So inside this div, I'm going to have a div with 3 p tags inside of it. So p times 3. And the first one is going to have the post title. Well, it's actually going to have 2 divs inside of it, right? The first one's going to be post.title. The second one is going to be post.description. Actually, it's going to be the post.description by the post.title. So it's going to be like, you know, this is an awesome thing, blah, 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 by the author's name. Right, so you can see this is looking pretty good, right? John Clark, what's up? He goes, this is lit, good to have you back. I love the live demos, great job. Quick question of the beaten path, love your images. Where do you get those created out? I create these myself, dude. All the thumbnails I create. But I'm happy to make a Skillshare for it and teach you guys how to do it. Right, let me know if you're interested. So in this case, look, my first post looks sick. Okay, cool. So outside this div now, I'm going to create another image tag, and this is going to have the author's image inside of it. So here I'm going to have the URL for function that we had, post.author.image is the source. And I'm going to say, get me the URL. So you can see how like a little bit of help from these functions actually goes a long way. The exclamation marks to ensure that it's not going to be a or no value. Okay, Andy B, Mailman coming in with the $5 donation. Thank you so much, dude. Look at that. So we've got the big picture. So we've got the main picture plus this one. So now what I'm going to go ahead and do is size it up so it all looks better. So I'm going to give this a class name of height of 12, width of 12. Hit save. Bam, that's looking better. Rounded full to give it a circular look. Looking pretty nice, right? And then I'm going to go ahead and for the outside div with the p tags inside, I'm going to go ahead and leave that one. It's this one I'm interested in. I'm going to say flex. So now it's gone in line. Justify between to give it space between the two. I'm going to actually give it a padding of 5 and I want the background here to be white. I'm going to force it to be white, right? And just to see it, if I did red 500, you'd see that's the one. So I'm forcing this to be white, okay? Now, for the image, I'll give it the effect afterwards, but let's think about this. I've got my div over here. I'm going to style this out pretty sick. So we're going to go ahead and say for this one, on the small screens, right? Okay, so this is actually a bit of a bigger sort of overall picture. So let's start off with the outside. The reason why this is a bit more sort of nice or complex is because on the small screens, I want a grid column of 1. So it's 1 column. And then on the medium screens, I get a column of 2. And on the large screens, I get a column of 3. Okay, so I'll show you how to do that. And as you can see, everything kind of resizes accordingly and does its thing. Okay, we're so close to 1,000. Wow. Right, so at this point, what I'm going to do is make this a grid. So it's a CSS grid. By default, as I mentioned, it's 1 column grid. Okay, now as we get onto the small screens, it's going to become a grid with 2 columns, right? So grid with 2 columns, right? As it gets onto the large screen, it's going to become a grid with 3 columns. It's so easy to use this with Tailwind CSS, right? Now I'm going to increase the gap between all the children of 3. So this gap right here is 3. And then I'm going to give it a padding. On the larger screens, I'm going to go ahead and actually, on the large screen, I'm going to say on the medium screens and above, the gap should increase to 6. And I'm going to give it a padding of 5, or in this case, padding of 2, right? Padding of 2. So that way it gets a little bit of padding on the external sides, and on the larger screen, a padding of 6. So you can see how I'm applying all these styles. Very easy, right? Extremely easy to do this. And it's not really kind of like throwing me off or anything like that. But as you can see, if I increase the size, automatically we go to the 3 segment, right? And here in a second, I go to the 2 column. So this is 2 column. This is a 3 column. And in the smaller size, it's a 1 column, right? So already looking pretty nice. And look at that. And it keeps the sort of nice constraints in place. Everything looks awesome. What's your recommendation for computer and computer chair? MacBooks, and this is actually an IKEA chair, but I would recommend getting a decent chair. Fabricio, thank you for tuning in. Awesome stuff, guys. We are killing it today. Almost at 4 likes away from 1,000. I'm about to have a water break. Smash that thumbs up. Let's go. That is nuts, man. Oh my God. Let's see. That song always gets me every time. I think the stream dies, but it's just the song kind of going a bit mad. All right, so we've got our grid in place. The final one, this div, yes, there we go, man. 1,000 likes already. Hour and 20 minutes. That's what we do at the Papa Fam. That's it. Push this video up, share it out, help people get learning with Sanity and Next.js. Oh man, it's so sick. Let's go to this div. Let's go ahead and style this div out. Now, this picture right here, I want to have it, the width should be 4, right? It should be object cover. And the reason being is because I want to kind of scale in and scale out and do that kind of cool stuff with it. Actually, no, this is actually for the images. This one I'll leave for a sec. I want to style the image first, right? So I'm going to say it's a height of 60. But you see how that changed it, right? What I need to do is height of 60, but a width of 4. And that keeps it there. Now, for this one, I want to do object cover, right? Which means that it's going to basically scale in to the sort of the article. The reason why is because it's kind of a cool way of displaying it, right? You can do however you want it, right? But that's kind of how I'm going to do it right here, right? So in this case, we have this object cover. I'm going to say when I hover over any of this, I want it to scale in. So not just the image, but when I hover over any of it, see how the image scales in only. So the way I do that is I set the entire div to a group, and I say when I'm hovering on the group, so group hover, then I can apply the styles. So in this case, I'm going to apply a scale of 105% when I hover over any of this group. So if I save it now, you see, look at that. When I hover over it, it's getting 105%, just the image when I hover over the entire group. So that's how we do it. And then what I'm going to say is I want that to be smooth. So I'm going to do transition, transform. So any transforming, hence the one that we just did. Duration 200, cool. And I'm going to say ease in, ease out, which basically means it's going to ease in and out. There we go. Looks pretty nice, right? And then final little creme de la creme piece to this is I'm going to make it have a cursor pointer over the entire div. So this one is going to be cursor, pointer. And as you can see, as I highlight over it, looks pretty nice now, okay? And I'm going to go ahead and actually make this a bit more sort of visible. So in this case, we've got this nice little border as well, right? So the border here, I'm going to go ahead and apply with the following. I'm going to say border, rounded should be large, hit save. Now we've got a nice little border in there. And yeah, I think that's good for now. I think that's pretty good for now. Yeah, looks pretty nice. All right, so we pretty much have the exact same over here. Nice, looking good. Right, the only thing is that image, right? So that image, I need to go ahead and say that also has a border. In fact, you see there's overflow here. So if I don't want this to come out of the picture like it's doing, right, all I need to do is go ahead and go to my div and say overflow hidden. So overflow hidden, and now you can see it crops it inwards. So that's how you keep that retention, and looks pretty nice. We just need to change the text, and then we're almost there for the home page, right? So let's go ahead and continue on. So Sanity, somebody said, I don't understand what Sanity is. It's an amazing CMS, so content management system. So imagine a backend that can be managed not only by developers. So anyone in your team can go there, a product guy, a non-techie developer, they can go there and modify the data and do all the stuff that they need to do. Really good for things like e-commerce stores, those kind of things. Blogs, amazing for, and so forth, right? So here I'm going to say text should be large. Cool. And I'm going to say the font should be bold. All right, looking nice. And then the p tag over here, I'm going to make the text extra small. All right, nice. All right, look at that. Who's liking that so far? I think that's pretty damn good. All right, nice. And look at that. Looks exactly the same. Bam, works. All right, looks really good. Now, the next bit we're going to do is probably the really kind of awesome feature about Next.js, which isn't taught as much as it should be. ISR, right? Basically, this stands for Incremental Static Regeneration. By the end of this video, you should know what it means. You should know how to use it. Basically, the goal is this picture right here, right? This kind of, article. When I click it right now, I get a 404. Right. So what I want to do is make dynamic pages, which basically are determined by the slugs. So it's going to say /post/ a dynamic slug. So this slug over here was determined by, that's the actual main medium. It was determined by, if I go to my post, it was determined by this value over here. Right. So depending on what the post slugs are, I basically want to pre-build all of these pages, right? So what do I mean when I say pre-build? Well, I want to basically have it so that when I deploy my app, all of the pages which basically belong to a post should be pre-built. I want them pre-built. I want to cache them. And this means that if anyone comes to my site, it's immediate. That blog is going to be up and it's there. Now, if you have dynamic data, you get into a sticky situation here, because what can happen is when it's built at build time, that page was fresh for when it was built, but about 10 minutes later, something could have changed. Now you have a stale or old cached page on your website. That's a problem. So you can fix this by using server-side rendering, but it means that every time somebody renders in, or every time somebody makes a request into your app, it's going to go ahead and render that page. That's a bit of a problem. So I'm going to show you how we can have static pages which are cached and then combine that with the magic of basically refreshing that page every 60 seconds. So the cache is never going to be stale for longer than the period that you define it as. That's how you get the best of both worlds. And it is a game changer once you get it working. Okay. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and go back to our code, and I'm going to create a page which is going to basically represent /post/ any page which lives at that root. Okay, so what I do here is that inside of the index.tsx, I'm going to go ahead and create a folder, and this folder is going to be called post. Okay, and this is basically because that's our root, right? Inside the post, I'm going to have this special syntax which is going to have square brackets. I'm going to say slug.tsx, right? Now, this probably looks a bit weird, but what this does is it's inside the pages folder. So this actually corresponds to /post/ a dynamic value, and the variable name is going to be slug. So we can tap into that variable name. So _RFC to make our component quickly. I don't know why that's playing up right now, but okay. And the only thing we need to change is this bit. So I would call this post. Get rid of this. And now we can go ahead and start building out this dynamic page. Okay, so what we're going to be doing, and also I forgot to mention, we are going to be using React hook form today. I'm going to go ahead and show you how to use a React hook form, which we used in the Gmail clone to actually help us go ahead and do validation on forms. Okay, so at this point, we're going to go ahead and actually have the post itself. We're going to do some server-side rendering, or not even server-side rendering. We're going to actually prefetch all the data. So two things we need to do, right? Two things we need to do is basically we need to go ahead and tell Next.js how it knows which posts exist, right? How does it know which page to go ahead and pre-build these pages for, right? We can't just magically guess that it's going to know it. And I don't want to do it server-side rendered way. So how do I go ahead and do this? Well, we have to use a special function called getStaticPaths. This is going to allow Next.js to know which routes it should pre-build in advance. Okay, so let's go ahead and get this one done. So first thing we're going to do is create a function called get static paths. And the way we do that is we say export const get static paths. And this is basically the function which will go ahead and tell Next.js how to figure out which paths to pre-render. Okay, so first thing we need to do is import Sanity client from our code base. So we're going to go ahead and say import Sanity and the URL for which we're going to use. Right, let's check this out. And right, so J, keep it unlocked, right? And guys, also smash thumbs up, almost at 1.1k likes. That is jokes what I just saw. Right, so at this point what we're going to do is I've got the post itself, right? So I'm going to go ahead and change this to a main. I'm actually going to go ahead and put in, oops, what is that, main? I'm going to put my header in here. Right, so I'm going to reuse my header component. Just so it shows something. But the static paths, going back to static paths, I'm getting caught off guard. Okay, so what I'm now going to do is inside of get static paths, I need to pre-fetch all the roots. Okay, so the way I do this is I basically say const query, and I'm going to use a query inside of Sanity CMS, which is basically going to go ahead and find all the roots for me. Right, not find all the roots, but find all the posts for me. So I'm going to go ahead and use this query. So all I need is all the posts, and I need the ID and the slugs. Right, so if I fetch this now, you can see I get the ID of all the posts and I get the slugs. Now what I'm going to do to make life a bit simpler is add a second post. So I'm going to create a second post here saying my second post description, another post, which is cool, right, which is cool. Slug, let's generate the slug. My second post. The author of this one is Elon Musk. We're going to upload a picture. So as you can see here, I've got the, let's go ahead and do a Tesla thumbnail, right, which is what I did before. So we've got a Tesla thumbnail and say, I just bought a Tesla for to celebrate 100,000 subscribers, right? And if you haven't seen that video, check it out, right? Check it out. It's a lot of fun. So in this case, boom, I've got this. I'm going to publish. And now when I do this query, I'm going to go ahead and I should see that inside the results now. Let me know if you're enjoying this right now. Gyro says, thanks for your job, Sonny. You are my hero. Thank you, dude, for watching and tuning in, right? So if I go to Vision now and I do this, bam, I get 2 items. Nice. I get the first post, the second post. I see my first post, my second post, and I get the IDs correlating to them. So I can use this information in this query to now go ahead and tell Next.js which routes to go ahead and pre-prepare for. So what I'm going to do now, backticks, boom, save. I've got the query over here. And then I'm going to go ahead and query it for it, right? So const posts equals, I'm going to go ahead and say await sanity client.fetch the query. Okay, and this is going to be plural because we've got all the posts. Now, what I want to do here is I need to go ahead and figure out the paths, right? So the way that we need to provide the paths over to Next.js is we need to provide it with an array whereby each object has a key called params, and then it's going to have the actual path inside of it, right? So in our case, the param is should have a key called slug inside of it. So I'm going to show you how this works. We're going to say const paths equals posts dot map, and for every single post I basically want to go ahead and return an object. So I'm going to return parentheses with brackets inside of it, right? And this means I'm going to return directly return an object, right? And then inside of it, the first thing is going to be params, and the second one is going to be the param that matches up to this name. So the slug in this case, and I can actually go ahead and use our type definitions here. I can say this is going to be of type post. And now I can know that if I do post dot and I get all this, cool. So we know our slug dot current, awesome stuff, right? So what this is doing now is this will create a list of paths for me. And these paths will basically have the folder structure where it'll be kind of like this, an array of something here where it says params, and it will say slug post 1, and then so forth, right? So it'll be this kind of structure, right? And it'll be an array of this, right? And it'll be my post second, my post third, my post fourth, and that's the structure that Next.js expects it in, right? So we're going to say return. I'm going to return the paths, And then I'm also going to pass something in here called fallback. And what I'm going to do here is use something called blocking. And I will explain this one in a bit when we use ISR properly. But this is basically going to block the page from showing, or it will show a 404 page if it doesn't exist. Okay, so just bear with me on that one. And you can read up on ISR if you're stuck, right? So at this point, we've got our pages being prepared for us, right? So the next step is you cannot just use get static paths alone, right? We've told Next.js which pages to go ahead and prepare, but now we need to go ahead and tell Next.js when it tries to prepare that page, how does it use that like slug or that ID to actually fetch that post's information? So I need to go through to each page and do something called get static props. You have to use get static paths with get static props, okay? So this is the next one. So we say export const get static props, okay? And this one is going to be, we're going to pass in something called get static props from TypeScript. So I'm going to do an import, and this pulls in the types from TypeScript. So this actually just imported get static props from TypeScript, which gives us all the type definitions. And this is an asynchronous function, yeah, which we're going to go ahead and this is something called the context here, right? And we're destructuring it to get something called the params out, right? Now, get static props doesn't return anything yet, hence why it's freaking out. So at this point, I now need to have a pretty cool sort of, that was actually the one that I had, and knows that because I've got the code. But I'm going to go ahead and show you the query that we now need to do in order to get this working. So this one is a bit bigger, but basically this is the query that we're going to need. And I'll explain it. Don't freak out. It's going to be good. It's going to be fine. Okay. Don't get scared at this point. But what we're now going to do is we're going to go ahead and we've got underscore type equals post. And then we're going to say, and also where slug.current equals, and this is called a query, basically placeholder. So what this would actually represent is it will get converted to something like this, my first post, right? And what this does is it returns an array back to us, right? So what I'm doing is I'm just getting the first value back. Now, if I do this, I'm basically querying for the slug.current, my first post, and I'm getting back the first value, and then I'm pulling all these fields from it, right? Now, the one which we don't need just yet is this comments. We're going to do that later, but we got the ID created at title, author, description, main, blah, blah, blah. And if I do this, I should get one. Aha, you see, I get the information back, right? So this gives me the information. If I don't do the 0, you can see I get an array of result, right? So we actually need to query for the 0, and that gives us back the actual, the object back, okay? So at this point, I'm going to use this. I'm going to use that placeholder syntax that I showed you, and I'll show you how to replace that value with a dynamic value, okay? So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and say const query equals, and I'm going to use my backticks and paste it in. Now, slug, you can see, is in this kind of syntax. You're like, oh, I've never noticed that one. Why isn't he doing the normal backtick syntax? Well, what you can do is you can say const post equals await sanity client dot fetch. Now, when I pass in the query, I can basically pass in values which will replace that, right? And it will make sure that it doesn't mess up the syntax. So I'm going to pass in something which will replace, and we actually need to pass in an object here. I'm going to pass in the slug value, which is this one. And what value do I want to give it? Well, I actually want to give it params dot slug, okay? And you can see here we have object is possibly undefined. Right, so in this case, I can say we know it's undefined, so it's okay, right? So you can say if you know it's undefined, you want to be optional, you can do this. If you want to be sure that it's there, you can do this. The safer one to do is this one. All right, this will gracefully handle it, right? So at this point, we have all the post information for each page. So you can see what we've done here, right? This gives back an array of paths, which gives us all the slugs that we're going to need back. And this one actually uses those slugs to then fetch the information for each page, right? Now, at this point, what we need to do is we're basically going to I guess we're going to protect ourselves, right? We're going to say if there was no post that came back, right? Then I'm going to do something called, I'm going to return a object called not found, right? And if you return an object called not found in Next.js when you're using fallback blocking as a type, this can be true or false or blocking. when you do this, it will return a 404 page. So we're kind of forcing it into that state. Otherwise, if it found the page, I'm going to do return the props, and the props are going to have the post, and that's going to be inside now as an argument, right? So to ensure that this all worked, right, my props come through here. I'm going to destructure it, and I'm actually going to say, or actually I'm going to show you a simple breakdown here. We need to define our prop types, right? So here I'm going to say interface, props, and at the top of the file, I'm now going to have the post as part of that, right? So it's going to be post, and this is going to be a single post object. Now, inside of props, I can see I have my post. So I can now destructure this and say, get the post out. Okay. And if I console log the post now, what we should see, right, if we've done it all correctly now, is we should be able to go to our website, and we should be able to go to /post /my first post. And hey, we don't get the 404 anymore. If I do an inspect, you can see I get an object back, which is all the information for that page. Now, this is the magic part where I need you to focus and give me some feedback if this made sense, right? We've got my first post, my second post, and that gave me back the second post information. And if I try and do my third post, which doesn't exist, it's going to say that there was no post found, which returns the not found object, and we should get a 404. So here is proof that it will literally only go ahead and pre-build the pages which exist. So it will only use the pages which exist. And the reason how it did that is it did that by basically first finding the pages which exist with get static paths. So it used this to basically find the paths or the pages which exist, and then it used get static props was the next function that runs, which basically populates the information for the page. So in this case, the second post works, right? That is damn powerful when you understand how that works, right? And if that didn't make like whoa kind of sense to you, smash the thumbs up button, because it is really powerful in what we're doing there. Right, Giancarlo says 100% makes sense, understood, and it's awesome. Nice, thank you, dude. Now I'm going to explain the final part here, which is ISR, right? So if we just did that, well, it will pre-build the pages, but we still got the problem where it's going to pre-build it. But let's imagine 60 seconds later, somebody comes onto the site. Well, now it's going to be, and let's say they changed the blog, right? Well, it's going to be the old cached version that got built and shown on the screen, which means that any updates from that moment forward won't be represented on the page. So how do we now make it so that if the user comes in after 60 seconds or another user comes in after 60 seconds, it goes ahead and actually re-updates the cache and basically generates a new page? Well, I got your back, right? Check this out. So if here underneath the, here where we have the props being returned, all you have to do to add in this incredible functionality, which will literally keep updating the cache after these times, is add in something called revalidate. And this is what enables ISR, right? If we put in revalidate 60, this means after 60 seconds, right? After 60 seconds, it will update the old cache. Now, what will happen is, imagine if, the old cache version. Now, what will happen is imagine I'm the 59th second user and I just came in at the last second, I'd get the old page. Now, imagine Jay comes in like about 5 seconds afterwards. Well, I've got the type on fallback blocking. So it will literally have a blocking, like it will just be a little bit of a delay. You can actually have a loading spinner if you want at that point. But only for that person who comes in, it will show a sort of a loading state, or it'll just show like a kind of wait a little bit longer, but it will server side render that page after 60 seconds and then cache it. And then that one gets served for the next 60 seconds in a static fashion. And then after 60 seconds, it'll server side render the next page, cache it, and then that one gets rendered for the next 60 seconds in static fashion, right? So if you really want, 60 seconds is quite aggressive. You can have it as like a day or an hour, like optimizing powerful stuff, right? Right. So Shoria says, right, I think we're good. Okay, so at this point, I think we're still good. I'm not gonna freak out, right? I think we're still okay. Right, my stream still says that we're live, so I'm not gonna freak out. Jay, are we good? Okay, so there we go. All right, let me know if you're watching right now. I had a bit of a weird situation on my screen, but we're good. We're not gonna let it stop us, right? So revalidation, sick. Giancarlo, are the old cache pages then removed and deleted 100% from the server? Yes, they get removed and put away. And you can literally see it if you do npm start, right? So I don't know if I want to kind of go through all of that now. But we could, no, I don't want to do it all now. But basically I cover that in depth inside Zero to Full Stack Hero. So if you want to see an in-depth explanation, join us at papareact.com. I do cover that in a coaching call. It's actually already on one of the coaching calls. But yeah, it literally will delete the old cache page, put in the new one. It's so damn powerful, right? Now that we've done that, we can accelerate, right? We can accelerate, we can go really fast with the next bit. So now what we can do is build out the page, right? So I'm going to now go ahead and build out this page over here. So Command B. So I'm going to build this page now. So if I go to my first page over here, boom, I can see this. This is my first post, first of a kind article, and so forth. I'm now going to have this on the screen, right? So I'm going to build this out. So we're going to get rid of our console log post. And because we already have this on a type, we can actually safely run now at this point and start coding things, right? Knowing that we have the correct definitions and so forth. I have an image here. This image is going to go ahead and have that handy function that we used earlier. So URL 4, let's go ahead and get the music up and get the energy back up, right? So URL 4, and I'm going to say post.main.image, okay? .url. There we go. I'm going to go ahead and ensure that it's there. So do the bang, bang. Comes in, nice. And what I'm going to do here is for the image, I'm going to say class name equals width of full, height of 40, and object cover, so it doesn't stretch. Nice. And this is going to be like one of those banner style things, right? So on the small screen, it kind of shows. You can mess around with it and kind of see as you want it. But I'm going to do this one, right? So this is going to be like the banner. So you can see at the top, we've got this banner as well. I'm going to do this one for this. And then I'm going to have for the main. That's good. Yeah. Right. Oh, guys, 1,100 likes. That is it. Whoa, man. And we covered ISR already. Oh, man. Right. So Smuggler says this is not automatically generated after someone visits that page anywhere with ISR. After 60 seconds, it will get server-side rendered and then generated, yes. But if you don't do ISR, it's going to be an old page. And if you update that page, it will show the old page. So you have to, that's why you basically defeat the dynamic content problem that you might have, okay? So let's go ahead and carry on. So we got the image there. Now we're going to have the article sort of syntax, which is pretty cool if you've never seen it. Here we're going to have a H1 with a post.title. Right, and then I'm going to have class name equals text for Excel, and I'm going to have a margin top of 10, margin bottom of 3, margin bottom of 3. Nice. Crazy how you made this in like a few hours and had the company needed days, a few weeks. It's more of a learning experience, to put it that way, right? Right, article over here, class name is going to be max width 3XL. I want to kind of limit the width. So as you see on this page, it's limiting the width. Right, and then I'm going to go and say MX auto to center it, so that way it's centered now. So if I go ahead and make this, oh god, if I go ahead and make this center, you see how it's centering that bit. And then we're also going to go ahead and give it a padding of 5, so it's not so close to the side. Okay, now next thing we're going to do, how do I join your newsletter, man? Jay, let them know how they join the newsletter. The link is in the description to join the newsletter. You get the Papa Farm playlist as well, so it's free, guys. We'll do H2 post description. So here I'll do post dot description and class name. And we were actually shouted out on a pretty sick video the other day, which was for the YouTube rewind, which was sick. I like that. All right, thank you for that guy who shouted out. I think it was William Candelian or something. It was a sick video, right? Text XL font light, and I'm going to do text gray of 500, margin bottom of 2, right? And Abbas, we don't actually do state management. We don't need state management in this. It does it all with the server rendering techniques we use, right? Looks sick, right? Looks really, really good so far. Another post, which is cool. Nice. Now we're going to have the, underneath this, we're going to have the div. This has got the author block in. So this one here. Okay. Now, thank you, Vikram Singh. Very sweet of you. I'm going to say image. And then the source here, I'm going to go ahead and say URL 4. And I'm going to say that we have the post.author.image, right? And then here I'll say .url, right? So basically what I'm doing is I'm using our helper function again. I'm going to ensure that we have the string, so it's not undefined. And that will give us Elon, the author, okay? So with that said, somebody said you should work at Facebook, Microsoft. My friend worked at Facebook, now he works at Uber. I'm meeting up with him in Dubai. So yeah, it's awesome stuff. But now I'm good on YouTube. All right, so we've got the class name. We're gonna style this out a little bit. For this picture, I want to basically give it a smaller height and width of 10. So height and width of 10. And then I'm going to give it a rounded full look. So that will give it a much smaller sort of footprint on it, right? And then what we're going to do is have a p tag underneath, right? I love how people ask questions as if I'm going to answer some of them when I'm coding. I'm like, guys, I'm concentrating as well. Font extra light, right? So this one's going to be super light. It's actually going to be the extra light that you're seeing here, right? So extra light, and I want this to be text small, right? Text extra small, actually. Small is good. And here I'll say blog post by, right? And I'm gonna have a space, and here I'm gonna say by post.author.name. So you can say blog post by Elon Musk. Okay, I'm gonna zoom into this. And then after that, I'm gonna say dash published at, here we're going to pass the date. So we can't obviously show the date, right? Instead, we can use next images if you want, right? Thank you, Danny Shabba. He goes, love the way you teach. I'm obsessed with Tailwind. That's awesome. Thank you, man. So at this point, we're going to pass the date. So post.created at is the date. So here I say new date. I pass in the post.created at. So post._created at. And then what I do is I do .to locale. I'm not going to do date string. Locale string is the one that I want. Okay. And now what this does is it passes it as a string, which is pretty nice. It has the date, it has the time, looks pretty cool, and it's on your locale. Okay. So this looks pretty nice, guys. Right. Next thing I want to do is style the div so it kind of comes a bit more in. So flex it so it comes together. Item center will center it on the y-axis, and then space it between it, space x of 2, and bam. We've done that, right? Next thing I want to do is where it says Elon Musk, I want to have that medium green, right? So as you guessed it, or if you haven't guessed it already, I'm going to put a span tag here. So span tag, I'm going to grab the author name, cut it, pop it inside of my span tag, and then I'm going to span a class name style here. I'm going to say the text here should be green 600. Boom, we get Elon Musk in green. I love Tailwind CSS, right? Igaga says, what is ISR? Incremental Static Regeneration. A very powerful technique in Next.js. It's just game-changing stuff. If you want to know more, really take your time with this build and build it out and get ISR working. But if you want to know more, I teach it in depth in 0 to Full Stack Hero at papareact.com. Link is in the description below. Okay, guys, we're almost at 1,200 likes. Let's go. Absolutely killing it today. Right, so underneath the div, we have got the next step. So we've actually got this, another post which is cool. So now what I need to do is render out all this text. Right, so this text was actually presented inside of something called a rich text block. So if you remember, if I go over to the post and I go to my first post, here you're going to see over here at the body, how the hell do I put this on the page, right? Well, we're actually going to use something called React Portable Text, right? So I'm going to install this dependency, and this is one which has been built to work with Sanity CMS. And I'm even going to show you how their TypeScript definitions are outdated and how you can fix it and contribute to an open source project, right? Because they need to fix something, right? And I fixed it, but let's go here. And here I can do npm install React Portable Text. So let's go ahead and pop this in. While that's installing, we can go up to our top of our file, pop it in, import portable text, blah, blah, blah. Now what we're going to do, a strange text says, hey, why aren't you using next image? Right now, I'm not using it because I have to whitelist all the URLs, which I'm unsure of, hence why I'm using normal image tags. Right. So at this point, you could just implement lazy loading if you want to optimize normal image tags. Right. So at this point, Command J. Now, if I go under here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have this new portable text. I'm going to have it inside of a div, and inside this div, I'm going to have portable text. So portable text, and this portable text has a bunch of things associated inside of it. Okay. So the first one is data set and project ID, and I'm going to use our environment variables to populate this. Now, as you can see, we get errors here. And it's saying it because it doesn't have dataset or project ID inside of its TypeScript definition. So the way you fix this, which is a bit annoying, is you click into portable text. And as you can see here, what we have is some TypeScript definitions. They don't have dataset and they don't have project ID, which they have in their documentation. So in a situation like this, which happens a lot of the time, trust me, I had it with Stripe as well. And I actually contributed to the source code. So you'll see me as a contributor to Stripe. Pretty fun. But what you can do here is basically add it in. So you can say dataset. I mean, I wouldn't really, this isn't the best way to add it in, but you can add it in here. But if you update your node dependencies, it's going to change. But what I would recommend is make a pull request to their documentation, to their modules, and then basically get this fixed for the good. Someone can do it, right? And then who knows, maybe when you're watching this, it's fixed. But I'm going to add it in here. And then I'm also going to change this to say const as well. Okay. And now, as you can see, we've added in the 2 values. And now if I go back to my TypeScript definitions, it will no longer complain about it because it has those definitions in there. We instead are missing a few other things. So in this case, what we're missing now is the content, which is the post body. So content equals the post body. And you guys can check out portable text, their documentation. It's pretty cool how they have it. We've got an empty class name, which we're going to have. And also something called serializers. Now, for serializers, you guys can pretty much feel free to copy me for what I have here. But what we basically have here is serializers are essentially how it basically takes an item when it goes across that array of objects, right? So that basically that rich text is an array of objects. It could be an image, it could be text. What does it do when it comes across a H1, for example? What does it do when it comes across a link, for example? Some of them, like images, already done, but here you can actually predefine some. So I've got a few examples here where we have an object, H1. We basically go ahead and render it out as a 2XL, H2 as an XL list, and so forth. So you guys can feel free to copy that as you wish. And for links, it's going to highlight them blue, right? So you can feel free to copy that. And then if you want to know more information, go to the React portable text documentation, right? But at this point, let's go ahead and check out what happened. So, I just bought a Tesla to celebrate 100,000 subs. Let's go back to our first post, right? And you should be able to see that it's working now. If I go back to the first post, bam, it's come up with the picture as well. So this is literally what we have here, right? This is the same thing that we have here. The post content, this and everything looking pretty nice. Or instead, we're missing one thing. Right now, it's too close to the top. So I'm gonna give it a margin top of 10 and that will space it away. So now we have the same spacing applied between the body text and this. We still got to do the comments, but overall, guys, we actually have the article in there and I promise you that's legit. So if I go here and I want to go ahead and basically copy some of my other text. So what I'm actually going to do here is go ahead and do something pretty cool. I'm going to take my text that I had at the other one. I'm going to copy it here. So that way you guys can see the first actual thing. So I'm copying that over. Did it work? No? Okay. I'm going to copy this stuff and see if it works. Paste. Okay, I guess we can't do that. That's fine. So I'm going to copy some of this over, some of this text over, for example, all of this text, and paste it in over here. There we go. That looks pretty cool. Publish it. Now we should have a bit more information on our article. Okay. And as I mentioned before, ISR, and because we're in dev mode, it would actually show us the non-cached version. But as you can see, that looks a bit more like an article now. Okay. So my first post, lorem ipsum, why do we use it? Boom. And then we've got the bottom bit, right? Pretty sick, right? Smash the thumbs up button. Let me know so far if you're enjoying this. Looks pretty good, right? So this is looking really nice. I think you tried server use case. I'm not sure what you mean, but this is looking pretty nice so far, right? And what we now are going to do is have something called a mutation. Okay, so a mutation is, and I kind of want to do something, it's pet peeving me a bit. I'm going to upload a better picture for that top title or for that top bit. So I'm going to go ahead and change this to something like the 0 to full stack hero. There we go. For the post. Maybe that's better. We'll see. Let's go ahead and see if that changed it. I've got a bit of a weird picture up here now. Let's see if it did it. I mean, it's not the nicest picture, but we can see. Let me go ahead and change a different one. All right, Let me go ahead and try and find it over here. So YouTube banner. There we go. Nice. Found my banner. Nice. I'm going to publish a new banner and publish it. And now what we should see if I refresh. Refresh now. Sorry. Refresh again. Right, I need to, it's cached it. So it's going to wait 60 seconds. Maybe I haven't published this one, the change. Yeah, I didn't publish the change. There we go. All right. So if we refresh now, I should get a new picture. There we go. This one's nicer. There we go. Nice banner. Okay, cool. So it's pretty cool. Mohammed says, I enjoy it. The way you teach is cool and relaxing. That's what I'm talking about, dude. Almost at 1,200 likes. This is what we want to do. So this is looking pretty sick, right? So we've read the information from here. We're using ISR. We have a responsive build already, which is looking pretty damn sick. Like, look at that. Right, that is nice for a blog, right? And then we're gonna now add in the final part, which is an API interaction, whereby we are gonna go ahead and use React Hook form to implement this form. And then we're gonna go ahead and basically have validation, so that way we have to go ahead and do it. And then we're actually gonna have the ability to push this information to the database and then render it over here, okay? So Giancarlo, so basically when we use Next.js, it depends. I'm not saying you don't need Redux, it just depends on the use case. Right now we don't need Redux because of the way we're pre-rendering our pages, but Redux has its place, i.e. things like baskets. All right. In the case where you have to pre-render a blog, you can use this. This is better. Okay, this is sick, bro. I really do enjoy it. John Fitness Motivation, thank you, dude. Appreciate you, man. In fact, I'm gonna go back to some new tracks now, and then this kind of get this thing going, and let's get this comment section built out. Okay, I think we're doing awesome on time as well. All right, how are we looking, Jay? All right, is it worth learning TypeScript? Hell yeah, it's worth learning TypeScript. All right, so at this point, at the bottom, I'm gonna now have I'm gonna firstly have a horizontal line after this. I'm gonna have a horizontal line after my article, and this horizontal line is gonna go ahead and say max width. I'm gonna just show you guys what I put in. Basically, I'm gonna go ahead and pop in this class name, boom, max width large margin Y of 5, oops, and MX auto border yellow 500. There we go. So now I've got this nice little line at the bottom, right? And then I'm also going to go ahead now and have a form. Okay, so for this form, I'm going to go ahead and say get rid of the action. But this form is going to go ahead and have labels, span, and input, and it's going to repeat this a couple of times, right? So a label is going to have a span and an input. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this. So span and an input. There we go. And an example of what the hell this is basically the first one will say name, and that'll be the label, sorry. And then the placeholder here will say something like name, or John Appleseed, right? So John Appleseed. Right, so we can hit save. Now you can see I've got a name at the bottom, right? So what I'm now going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and do the following. Let me just do a quick check-in. Right, so almost at 1,200 likes, guys. Looking sick. I'm going to copy this a few times. Bam, bam, bam. So we're going to have this instead now for the name, the email, the comment. And then I'm also going to have just those three things. Name, email, and comment, right? So name, email, and comment. And this final one is going to be not type text. It's going to be actually long text, I believe it was, or what was it? It's going to be text area, not input. It's going to be text area, right? And it's not going to have this. So you see TypeScript's picking up on errors. We're going to say rows of the text is going to be 8 rows that you can type in. It's going to be like a bigger block of text. Now that looks awful, right? What we have right here. I want to make this look a bit nicer. So what I'm going to do now is firstly for the form, I'm going to style it a little bit. And this form, I'm going to go ahead and say that it's a flex column. So now everything should go in a sort of, in a row in that sense. We should say padding of 10, margin y-axis of 10. So it's got some space to breathe. We're going to go ahead and give it, padding of 5. Just go ahead and padding of 5 in this one. Max width, I'm going to give this a max width of 2XL. Center it with MX Auto, And then I'm going to give it a margin bottom of 10. So that way it should be a bit more spaced out. Okay. So now we've got the comment, the name, and so forth, right? We're going to get this looking like this, right? So, yeah, pretty sick. Okay. Let's carry on. So we're going to go ahead. So everyone's asking how important is TypeScript? TypeScript is important because it's a way of writing robust code. That's important, guys. Don't underestimate robust code, okay? I'm going to add some headers in underneath the form title. So you guys can feel free to pop these in. This just says, enjoyed the article, leave a comment below, and a horizontal line, okay? So now you can see we're starting to get to this level, okay? You see end of the article, we get a line, leave a comment below, and then we just need to make it look like this. Okay, so for this one, the labels, right? Now you can go ahead and do what I've done in the past and actually go ahead and make a utility class, a custom one, but I'm not going to do it in this one because I've done it so many times before. But I'm going to use this nice little cursor trick where I hold Option and click several places and I get this multi cursor. In this case, Command D does the same trick if you highlight on something. And I'm going to do margin bottom of 5. So I've typed in 3 places. You can see we've got a bit of spacing between the components now. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and style the span tags. So these are all going to be gray pieces of text. So I want these to all be gray. So span are going to be class name text gray. And I'm going to make it a 700, so a dark tone. All right. And a slightly gray. Let's see if we do 100. Yeah, so it's definitely gray. All right. Now, Gabriel, what's up, man? Gabriel says TypeScript also helps you with other languages that are type strong. I 100% agree with that. Thank you for sharing that. If you ever move to Java or any of the other languages like that, you're going to be pretty familiar with how you use types if you use it. So it's going to be pretty cool. Right. So inputs, and the text area. So inputs and text area, I'm going to give a class name. And I'm going to start styling these up. Now, each one actually has the same styling. So again, you can do the same thing. You can make custom utility classes, but I'm going to show you how I do it now. So I'm going to do shadow, which we've got a nice little shadow. I'm going to give it a border. They're going to be rounded. I'm going to give it a padding Y of 2, padding X of 3. And this is going to be a form input field. So we're actually overriding the form input styles. This is something in Tailwind CSS version 3, margin top 1. We're going to give it a block style. So boom, already looking pretty nice. So that way it'll take up its own width. Block elements basically take up their own width. We give it a full width. I'm going to give it a ring yellow of 500. And then I'm also going to go ahead, and that's actually that done. So it looks pretty sick, right? I'm going to go ahead and just stop that. So we've got name, email, and so forth. Now I think the actual ring thing was, I do this, yeah, there we go, ring, right? So you can do ring focused, I think it is. Is it focus? Ring, no, focus outline 0. So anyway, we'll keep it as that for now. Yeah, but you can change the color of that if you really want to. I forgot it was off the top of my head. But this final one, I'm going to change as well. So this one's going to be, this input is going to be this one, sorry. We're going to go ahead and say that this has got a shadow, it's got a border, it's going to have a rounded, and then padding Y of 2, padding Y of 2, padding X of 3, so a bit more spacing. And then I'm going to give it a form text area. So this is actually a nice one that comes out of the box for Tailwind. Margin top of 1, hit save. And then block width full, and you'll see that this will take up a new line because it's a block element now. Very quick way of hacking that together. Ring yellow 500. Ring yellow 500. Cool. All right. So looks pretty cool. And that immediately, look at the UI on that, right? Compared to the one that we had like before. Massive difference, right? So what we can also do now is have it. So I think, you know what, that's bothering me, but let's do outline, none, ring. Okay, so now we can do focus ring. Is it focus ring? Boom, your boy always comes through with it. That's how you fix it, right? So you can add those in, right? And now you can actually make the ring even smaller. Ring 1, ring 0, is it ring 0? That's fine. That's fine, I'm happy with that. All right, so let's take this one and put these in there because that was bothering me. I was thinking, what is that? Outline none, there you go. So now we get this nice little yellow effect as well, bow, right? The theming is looking pretty cool, right? So at this point, how do I, in the most optimal way, hook up a form and do stuff with it, right? So I'm going to show you how to do this. So we're going to use something called a React hook form. So React hook form. I use this in the Gmail build as well. So you can go ahead and check out reacthookform.com to go ahead and get more information on this. But I'm going to show you pretty much how to use it. That's going to be the much more fun way of doing it. It's a lot more efficient when you're using this. Click get started and you just have to install npm React hook form to get started with this. So Command J, npm install React hook form. While that's installing, I'm going to pull in my dependencies from the top. So we actually need the following from the top: use form and submit handler, right? Guys, almost at 1200 likes. Let's go. Sick, right? So use form, use and submit handler is the ones that we want. And what I need to do here is actually have a special register sort of a function, right? So use form. So in this case, I go here and I'm going to go ahead and say const, and I'm going to destructure. There we go. That's the one I needed. I actually need the register. I need the handle submit, and I need something called form state, which has the errors inside of it. Right. Now, as you can see, let's go over here. This is basically going to give us, this is basically how we connect our form to do some cool shit with it, right? So I'm going to show you how we actually do that in a second. But firstly, we actually have to define the form fields in TypeScript, right? And I'll show you why. And this is basically going to level up our code as well. So I'm going to say interface. I'm going to say the iForm input. So you can call this whatever you want. Basically, it's just the input form input or iForm. I don't know what it is, but that was the name given to me. So we're going to give it an ID of string, and I'll show you where this is as well, right? It's going to be a hidden field. I'm going to say the name is going to be a string. And then we've also got a few more fields. We've got the email and we've got the comment, right? So these ones. So ID, name, email, and comment. And then this input field type, what we do is we use it as a template here. So now our form knows that it can only have these types. And by the way, if you ever want an optional type, you can do something like this. You can have name ? Which basically says the name isn't required. It can be also blank. In this case, we require all these fields. Now, the ID is the interesting one. You're probably wondering, well, Sonny, you don't have an ID field in your form. Well, what we're actually going to do is where we have the form, I'm going to have an invisible ID which embeds some information inside of it. So the one that I'm interested in doing that for is actually this one here. This one here. So I'm going to say input type hidden, the name is _ID, and the value of that field is going to be the post that got passed into this component. It's going to be that ID. So it's the page that you're on, it's going to be that ID. Okay. So this is where we use the magic register functions, right? Register functions. So you basically, this is the syntax we're going to do. It spreads out the register. It basically enhances our input field so it can do the connection to React hook form, which allows us to pull the data from the form in one clean sweep. In simple, all you need to do is go to all your input fields, bam, put it in and give this the correct names. Right now, this one's going to be name, but this is also a required field. So in this case, I add a second argument and say required true. And that's that done. I go to the second one, register, and this one's going to be email. And this is a required field, so required true. And then the final one is going to be this one, which is going to be for comment. And this is also a required field. Okay. Now what happens is if I try and submit this form and any of the required fields are left blank, what will happen is we will get a nice little validation fail or an error, right? And what this will come is it will come underneath here. So errors will return when the validation field, validation name fails basically. And what we're going to do is we're going to have a div, right? And inside this div, I'm going to have all the errors, right? So like you saw here, the name field is required, comment field is required. The way we do that is very simple actually. We just say errors.name. So that's for the first field, errors.name. And that comes in over here. So where we had the errors being pulled, that gets populated over there. So errors.name, if there's errors.name, then we just go ahead and render out something. So in this case, I can render out the following. Right, I'm actually going to do all three in one. So I'm going to go ahead and paste them in so it save a bit of time. Bam. Errors.name, pull this one out. Name field is required. Errors.comment, pull out the comment field is required. And the final one, the email field is required. Right. Each of these are going to be in a flex container where we do flex columns. So they're stacked up on top of each other. And I'm going to say padding of 5. Boom. Now, with that, craziness done. If I go ahead and I need a submit button, how am I supposed to submit this field, right? So the final thing underneath that is going to be the input button for the submit. So input type is submit, and I'm going to have a class name. This one is going to be, let's put it afterwards actually. Looks weird there. So let's do class name. This is going to say, Navroop Singh says, I want a full stack development course. Join us at papareact.com. Join us at Zero to Full Stack Hero. That's literally it. The link is in the description. We got your back with a full stack course. Anyone from Zero to Full Stack Hero, let me know, right? What you guys think of it. So BG yellow 500. And then I'm going to say when I hover over this button, yellow, sorry. When I hover over this button, I'm going to say BG yellow 400. Right, so already I've got a button here. Now when I hover over it, you see that the thing changes. I'm going to go ahead and say when I focus on it, the shadow should be an outline. So when I basically click it, and then I'm also going to do a few other things. I'm going to say that the focus should be shadow outline. And I'm also going to give the current focus, the ring, that little ugly ring, outline none. Right, text should be white. I'm also going to say the font should be bold. So let's hit save on that. Already a few differences. We need the padding to change. Padding Y of 2, padding X of 4. Already looking a bit better. I want it to be rounded, and I want the cursor to be a pointer. Bang. Right, and look at that, already looking sick. If I try and submit this, guys, it will. We haven't got the handle submit function hooked up yet, so that's why it's doing this. Sering Cowden, yo, what's up? $6 donation, appreciate you, man. It's great to see you back, Sonny. It's great to be back, dude. Thank you so much for tuning in. Appreciate you, man. Right. Why input submit instead of button? Because you can. Because I want to style it, so I don't want to have to override button styles. So that's how we do it. Right, so I'm going to turn that off. There we go. Turn this off. 1 second. Bow. Right. So at this point, pretty cool. We've got this. The next thing I need to do is React Hook Forms is basically we need to connect its way of submitting the form. So the way we do this is we go to our handle submit, which comes up here. And I'm going to create another additional thing called on submit. Right, so on submit. And what we do with the on submit function is basically where we would typically have a normal function, which is written something like this, on submit, something like this, right? What we're actually going to do here is use a special submit handler prop type, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to say that this is of type submit handler, and we're going to pass in the input type that we've gone ahead and casted. So now it knows what to expect, right? And what we're going to do here is we're going to say async data. So inside of data now, it will know the data fields. So if I do data dot, look at that. It knows exactly what fields are coming from my form. So this isn't from magic. This is from basically using their function and then wrapping it with our, casting it with our form input type. Okay. So at this point, yeah, guys, 1.2K likes. What? Already in 2 hours. We're doing so sick right now. Right. Let's keep moving. This is going awesome. Right. So at this point, we're going to basically try and push the data to the backend. So in this, I just want to check something. I'll do data right now to see if it works. But if I try and submit now, oh, oops, I haven't hooked it up. I keep forgetting. So this on submit, we need to go ahead and go to our form down here. Where is it? Form here. And I want to do on submit. And I basically need to write it in the following way. I need to wrap their one, so handle submit, and then pass mine in as an argument, right? So their function takes mine as an argument, and mine is what handles the data. Now, as you can see, what's really cool about this is if I go down here, now, firstly, if I submit, boom, it actually starts reacting. So I can say Sunny Sanga, sunny@gmail.com. And also, guys, make sure you have that as an email. I forgot to do that. This one is going to be type is email. There we go. So you have some validation there. And then comment is, yo, smash the like button and subscribe. There we go, subscribe. Nice. Okay, cool. Now if I click submit, boom, you see how it only submitted when all the fields were full, right? So now that data comes to me in a very clean function over here in the data. And as I mentioned before, if I do dot, all of these fields are perfect because of TypeScript. TypeScript just makes it so clean, right? It makes it super, super clean, right? So at this point, we're looking good. We're looking very good, right? So what I want to do is I want to push this now to the comments over on Sanity. So I want to push it as a data type with a schema. Maxwell, what's up? He goes, thank you for £5 donation. Excellent as always. Question, will you ever use Svelte for one of your YouTube projects? Not at the moment. I'm not planning on deviating, but thank you so much, Maxwell. I do appreciate the donation, but who knows, man? I'm never going to say no to certain things. So, you know, who knows where it goes. Probably going to do more vlogs as well. So stay tuned. If that excites you, let me know, right? So now you know it's going to become a thing. It's going to be a thing, I'm telling you, right? And then I'll clip that bit out. All right, so on submit, what we're going to do now is I'm going to basically have the following. So I'm going to say await, and I'm going to have a fetch, right? And what I need to do is I need to make a fetch to a my API, which I haven't even created yet. And what I'm going to do for this is I'm going to create an endpoint called create comment, and I'm going to pass in the following. So it's going to be a method, which is a post request, and I'm going to pass up the body, and I'm going to stringify the data from the form. Okay. Now what this is basically going to do is I'm going to push this data from the form over to my API backend. And what this will do is do a post API request, a REST API we're doing, and they're going to pass the data. And what I want it to do on the back end is then go ahead and update the database and mutate it and push it in. Okay. So in that case, what we do now, Jay, we good? Yeah, I think we are. Yeah. So at this point now, what we're going to do is, there we go. Hey, from Lebanon. What's up, guys? I'm going to go ahead and say, then once it's finished, I just want to console log the data just to see that it all went through, all good. Okay, so, and then we're going to say, okay, then I'll show you how we do it afterwards, right? And I'm going to say catch afterwards if there was any errors. And just for now, I'm not going to go too far into it. I'm just going to say catch if there was any errors, console.log the error. Okay, and we can do some cool front end stuff afterwards. Now, next step is create the API endpoint. So in Next.js, because we have that intermediate server, we have a built-in API, and you can test that by looking at this hello.ts function which gets built for us. What I'm going to do is create this create comment. So create comment.ts function, and I'm actually going to take this, right? And I'm going to go ahead and pass it over here like so, right? So it's literally going to be the similar kind of layout as to what I'm doing. But what I'm going to do here instead is I'm just going to call this function create comment, right? Or it could be handler, whatever the case. And then I don't need this data right now, right? But the request and response is perfect. That works for me, right? We get the request, response, and then what we do is we can do some stuff with it. And you can test this and prove that I'm not joking. By going to the localhost /API/hello, and you'll see that dummy request come back, the one that we see over here, right? So at this point, we can pretty much use this to go ahead and get things kick-started off. Now, what I need to do is I need to have a config at the top of my file, which looks something like this, right? We have a config, we have the data set, the project ID, and then we have the Sanity API token, which I will give you in a second, right? I'll show you how to get it, All right, so we're going to go ahead and pull in our Sanity client, right? So you remember the one that I set up earlier, and we're going to pass it the config over here. Okay, so in fact, I think we don't actually need to pass in the Sanity client. I think we can actually just use the one that we had earlier and it would work. Although, no, I think we need the special one for this. All right, so in this case, what we're going to do is I'm going to install the Sanity client over here. So npm I Sanity client. And then I'm going to go ahead and import Sanity client here instead of using this one. I mean, you could probably try the other one, but this one works for me right now and I'm live. So I'm going to go with this Sanity client here, bang. And we've got our client config, cool. So we've got everything set up. I just need the Sanity API token. So what you want to do to get this magic token is go over to your Sanity dashboard, right? So this one, for example, go to your API tab over here, right? Go to tokens. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go add API token. And here I'm just going to type in YouTube, Sanity, and I want the editor token. This is the one which allows us to read and write access to all data sets with limited access to project settings. Okay, click save. Now I'm going to click save and then it will show me the token. So I'm literally clicking save now. It shows me the token. I am copying that token. Okay, so I have now copied the token and I am now basically leaving that. So now in my clipboard, I have my token. Okay, so the next thing that I want you to do is go back to your code, go over to Command B, go to your environment.local file, right? And what I want you to do is sanity.api token, so sanity_API token. Remember, it doesn't have next public, in which means it's protected now. And I want you to paste in that code. So I'm going to hide it here. I'm pasting in that code, saving the file, and I'm closing the file. Okay, so I saved it. I put that code in, and then now what I'm doing is that variable, and I'm restarting my Next.js server because I changed the environment variables. Okay, Argentina in the house. What's up, man? Right. With then, is this a necessary await? Good point. Actually, I didn't have that before, so you don't actually need that. So shout, dude. You don't actually need the await here. Yeah, if you're doing with the then, you don't need the await. But before I had a try catch and I was messing around with a few things. But yes, good spot. Okay, so at this point, okay, we now have that code in play. We now have our API key up and running. And what we can do is we can start coding on the API. Now, the reason for that is that key allows us on our API, which is a protected zone, which is safe, it allows us to read and write to the database, which means that we can communicate with our API and then that will securely interact with the database. So what I can do here is now I'm going to go ahead and basically pull apart those 4 variables from the request body. Okay, so over here, I'm going to go ahead and just, I'm going to destructure. Let me go back here. There you go. Let's do something else. Yeah, I don't know if I like that old track, the one I just had. Right. So I've got the const ID, name, email, and comment. So JSON.parse request.body. So I'm basically destructuring those values from the form submission that I pushed through. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I wonder if we can get to 1300 likes. It's crazy, honestly. All right. And now I'm going to go ahead and just do a try block. And this is going to basically allow us to capture any issues that's going on. And then I'm going to say await, right? And here I'm going to do the following. So await export default. This needs to be an asynchronous function, right? I'm going to say await client.create. Okay. And inside this block, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pass in the following. So what I'm actually doing here is I'm creating a document in Sanity CMS, just like I was manually doing before. Right, so I was doing it here. I'm actually doing it in a programmatic fashion now. So I'm going to create a new type called comment, right, which we're going to have to create a schema for. So I'm going to go ahead and say comment, and then I'm going to say post is going to be of type reference. So this is a reference to another post, and what this means is it will actually go ahead and reference the entire object. So like a relational database in some sense. We've got a name, we've got an email, and we've got a comment. Okay. Nice, looking pretty good so far. All right, so we've got this in play, looking quite nice. And then I'm going to go ahead and say, after this await, right? So outside the try catch block, no, outside the try catch, I'm going to catch the error if there was an error. And then I'm going to go ahead and say console log the error. Console log the error. And then I want to basically return a 500 status message with the error message inside of it, right? So I don't actually need to console log it, screw that, right? Otherwise, I'm going to go ahead and return a message which basically says the following. It says 200, so all good, and it says comment submitted, okay? So hit save, and I'm actually going to go ahead and just add a little console log here so you can see it as well inside the, you'll see it here. You'll see it when we actually do that now, okay? So at this point, our create comment endpoint is actually up and live, right? So this works, right? I mean, this hopefully works. Let's try it out. So what we're going to do now is pull open everything that we need. I'm also going to go over here and do this. Now, if we don't see an error message, we should be good, right? So I'm going to type in Sunny Sanga, sunny at apple.com. Yo, this is sick. right? Hit submit and boom. Okay. And you see in the server logs, comment submitted, right? Using Sanity without specifying an API. Okay, so we didn't specify API version. It's fine. We can do that here. But comment submitted. Okay. So where is my data then? So if I go to my document over here, my Sanity Studio, I can't seem to find my comment. This is because we need to update our schema so that way it knows to look for that, right? So this is actually pretty simple when we get this working. I'll show you how I do it. We go over here, we go to our schema, Sanity YouTube schema, and then I'm gonna go ahead and create a new schema. Now, what I'm gonna do here is I'll show you how to do this, and you guys can feel free to just copy it in, okay? So I'm gonna create a new file here called comment.js. And basically this is what you would have to put in. Now, basically the way I've done this is very simple, guys. All I've done is looked at a post and I've restructured it accordingly as I needed it. In this case, it's got a name, which is comment. The type is a document. The title is comment. The fields which exist inside of it, a name. Also this new approved, right? Which is basically means that people can comment, but until I, the moderator of my blog, approve their comment, it's not going to show on the site, because if it's a blog, I don't want harmful messages to be shown on the blog. So this is going to allow us to restrict that. Then we have email, comment, and post, which is a reference to the existing post. So if I do that and we refresh, we still aren't going to see our comment, right? We're going to see this and we're going to be like, oh, I thought I'd done everything. Yeah, why isn't it working? Well, we got one more update. We need to go to our schema. And as you can see here, what we actually need to do for the schema is we need to import our comment, right? As part of the additional thing. And then we just need to drop it in here. Now, when I hit save, rebuilding our Sanity Studio bundle, and we should see now comment, bam. And we should see the one that I added, and it should say, this is sick. Nice, right? So you see how that worked, right? Oh, nice. Everything dot. It says, love your teaching style, Sunny. Love from London. Awesome stuff, man. What's up? So as you can see, it came through. So now we've got successful pushing that went through. That was a full stack kind of thing, right? Front end, we built the API, we communicated to our API, and then we went ahead and made a mutation to a Sanity CMS. So looking pretty sick right now, right? We did that. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna finish off the rendering part on the front end, right? But I also want some feedback, right? I also want some kind of a message to show me if I actually had the submission go through or not. So what I'm gonna do to make that happen in a nice way, I wanted to say like, thank you for your submission, right? So in this, what we do is I'm gonna create a piece of state which keeps track of. So I'm going to go here and create a piece of state. So submitted and set submitted. We're going to initialize the state with false. And what this is going to do is by default, it'll be false. But after you submit the form, what I want to do is I'm going to set submitted to true. Right? Otherwise, if there was an error, set it to false. Right? So set submitted to false if there was an error. Right? But what we can now do is rather than rendering the format or keeping it on the screen, I can go ahead and do the following. So this entire form, I can now do something like this. I can say, if submitted, right, then it should go ahead and render something, else it should render out the form. So I should grab this entire form, cut it, put it inside this block, and now we get a bunch of complaining because we don't have a submitted block here. So if I just put in a H1, say submitted, right? And to test this is there, we can do A, let's do Andy B. Andy, there you go. Shout out to you, dude. .co, and we can say, yo, Papa Fam, and hit submit. And now we should see in a second, it says submitted. So now we can start styling this because we have hot reloading. So this is my kind of way of doing stuff, right? I like to just kind of mess around with it and build it as I see it. So in this case, I've got a div, and this will have a H3 inside of it and a P tag outside of that. Now the P tag here will say, or the H3 firstly says, thank you for submitting. And then we're also going to have, once it has been approved, it will appear below, right? So once it has been approved, it will appear below. So you can see this at the bottom, right? And then I'm also going to go ahead and style this so it looks a lot better than this. So flex column, very easy to go ahead and do that. Padding Y of 10, margin Y of 10. Okay, so it's gone ahead and pushed it down a bit. Background should be yellow, and I'm going to do 500. I'm going to do text should be white, I'm going to do max width to XL, right? And I'm going to say the margin X auto. So that way it centers itself. The H3 should be bigger. So it should be a text 3XL and it should be bold. So font bold. Hit save and bam, look at that. The difference is insane, right? Now, instead of padding, I'm just to make it all padding, right? So X and thing, there you go. Now look at that. Thanks for submitting your comment. Once it's been approved, it will appear below. And if you come back to the screen fresh, it will no longer be, it would be false. You can actually add another one. So it'll stop you from like spamming the hell out of the thing, right? Now what I want to do is show underneath the comments, right? And I want to basically filter it based on the things which are going to be basically like approved only. Okay. So what I'm going to do is, do you remember that we previously had a query that we were using to go ahead and pull some information? So in this case, you can see the query that we had was this one. Right. So what we can now do is enhance this query, introduce a new custom thing called comments. Right. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to introduce it here. And then I'm going to say this is going to be an array. Basically, I'm going to select things. So basically, I'm doing like a sub query now. I'm going to select a few things. And what I want to do here is I want to make sure that I'm targeting everything which is of type comment. Okay. And I'm going to make sure that the reference, the post reference, is equal to the ID of the thing which I am nested in. So in this case, the post reference, right, is going to be equal to, so make sure that the post reference is equal to the like upper level ID. So basically this one, right? And then I'm going to go ahead and also ensure that approved is true, right? Ensure that the approved is true. So that means if I go ahead and check this now, oops, we've got an error here where I have the following. That's because I've not done. Let me just double check my syntax. Boom. There we go. Okay, so there we go. I just had a little typo. So now you can see there should be a comment on the first post. So you can see comments. Well, this one, did we comment on the first post? We actually did. So we're going to have to see which one I actually added it to. Did I do it here? I don't know if I did do it here. Let's do abc.com, abc, submit. Cool. We got the feedback. Now if I do this again, we should be able to see a comment comes back with 0. Okay, interesting. So we need to have a look as to why this is happening, so we can figure it out. But in this case, post ref and ID. Let's have a look at the actual Sanity database and debug it. So if we look at our comment and we look at any of these, so if I look at this one, it is linked to the first post, right? In fact, I've probably just got a silly mistake here. So reference, we've got the ID is not approved. Oh yes, of course. Right, there we go. I fell for it. Casper, thank you, dude. I would have actually spent way too long on that. It's because it's not approved, right? That's why. So I need to approve it, right? Good shout. So if I publish this one, so now it's going to come back in the visualization studio. So if I go here and I do it now, we go here and comments. There you go. It comes through. Thank you, dude. That is how I know you are like clued in right now. That saved me a lot of headache, dude. Thank you. That really helped me out. Okay, so with that said, now we're going to pull the comment in. I'm going to do one more so we can see, and I'll probably make this one a bit nicer so it's not spammy. Let's do this again. Let's go ahead and say Casper Birch. Birch.com. Thanks for the bug fix, dude. All right, there you go. Submit. Now Casper's made it in. Awesome stuff. And then I can go as a like moderator. I can come in. I can see Casper commented. Let me approve Casper. Oh, really awesome stuff. I can approve it. Go over here. And now if I refresh, we can see, if I go to my visualization tool and hit enter, I can see Casper's comment as well, right? So I'm going to copy this now. I'm going to enhance our code over here. So where I had previously done it, oh yeah, so I actually had it before. I forgot to take it out. So this is where we basically had it before. So what I'm actually going to do, oh no, I just did it now, of course, yeah. So we're basically going to keep it there, right? So this will pull the data in now as as we've done it. So what I now need to do is enhance my post type definition, right? So if I go to my typings.d.ts, I now need to enhance this so that it knows what a comment is, right? So I'm going to go ahead and create a comment type. So down here, I've got the things which a comment has inside of it. Created at ID, rev type, updated, approved as a Boolean, and so forth. And then on my post, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say it also now has a comment, which is of comment array type, right? Now arrays, you can also do it like this, right? It really doesn't matter, right? But that's basically going to enhance it now. So now our code knows that it has comments, right? Aidan Masas, thank you. He goes, Mr. Sunny, Giancarlo, it's awesome the way you teach your stuff in a simple way. So appreciate it. Thank you so much. Honestly, that really does mean everything. So I appreciate you sharing that with me. All right. So at this point, we have all of this pretty sick working, right? So what I can now do, just to prove, console log the post, go back to my build, command inspect, and I get the object, I get the comments come back. If I refresh, sorry, let's refresh to see it one more time. And I see my comments now, boom, I get the comments come through. So we can now go ahead and render it, right? So we can actually go ahead and render this out now and actually get this on the screen. So you can see where I'm going with this, right? It's moving pretty well. We're almost done, right? So at this point, what I'm gonna do is underneath my code, underneath at the bottom next to my form. So underneath my form, I'm going to have the comments down here. Okay. So the comments, I'm going to have a div, a div, and inside I'm going to have a H3, and this will say comments. And then I'll have a horizontal row, like a line to separate, which will be like this, comments, and then I'll have all the comments listed out. Okay. So the way I can do it is I can say post dot comments, right? So post dot comments. I want to show you guys how it works. Dot, and then you can see map, because it knows about that what it is, right? So I can map through each comment, and then I can go ahead and return the following. So not an object, sorry. I can return the following. And here I want to have a div with a p tag inside of it, and this will be the comment dot name, and it's going to have comment dot name is going to say to the other person, or that the name is going to say the comment dot comment. There you go. And it knows that this is a comment because it was a comment type, right? So if I was to go ahead and do dot, it would have all the different comment sort of fields that we have, right? So it'd be Sunny said this or something like that, right? Now, if we hit save, we can see that Casper Birch, thanks for the bug fix. Yo, this is sick. Nice. We have the stuff coming up at the bottom, right? Casper says, thanks. Thank you, dude. Saved me a lot of headache with that one. It always comes in clutch when people do that, right? So I really appreciate that. So comment dot ID, and you can see I can just comfortably code now knowing that these are correct, right? This is correct class names and it works. So if I do span here, by the way, I'm going to span around the name, and I also want to have this bit, and I'm going to go ahead and span some yellow text here. So I'm going to say text should be yellow 500, save. And now we're getting a little bit nicer. For the overall container around here, I'm going to firstly do, this should have a padding bottom of 2. This should have a text be for Excel. Hit save, boom, okay. And then the overall div, we're going to start to be flex column. And then I'm going to say padding of 10, margin Y of 10, so top and bottom. And then I'm going to show you guys a pretty cool Tailwind CSS 3.0 thing that they have. So max width to Excel and MX Auto to center it. But I'm going to show you the cool thing here, which is basically we can have a shadow, colored shadows now. So now you can have a yellow shadow if you want of 500. So in this case, if I do that and I add in the shadow, you can see that it's actually added that in. So if I do space Y of 2, right, I space the gaps, but you can see we've got a yellow shadow now. So if you want shadow, like colored shadows now, it's easy to do, guys. Really easy to do with this, right? So already looks pretty good, right? So look at that. Nice, works really wicked. And there's a little space there that's bothering me. There you go, bam. And yeah, get a nice little space. Cool, looks really good. I like it, right? So at this point, we have got validation. We've got comment features working. We've got the approval of comments. We've got a content management system managing the entire blog. We can literally click in. It's fully responsive. Everything works the way that it needs to work. And it has got this nice little effect over here. Damn powerful for what we have done in the amount of time we've done it. 2 hours 45 so far. This is crazy, guys. This is really the power of Sanity CMS combined with Next.js. It's a match made in heaven for something like a blog, for something like an e-commerce site. So I hope this is showing you what you can do with it. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to show you guys the steps of deployment. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is remember that I've got the Sanity Studio locally running on my local host 3333. Well, what I first want to do is I want to have a way to access the Sanity Studio anywhere that I am, right? So what I can do now is I can deploy my studio and it'll still be protected because I'd have to log into the correct account like Google and then I can get access to it. But what I'm going to do now is go ahead and where I've got Sanity Studio running, right, I'm going to keep that running over there for a sec, but I'm going to go ahead and actually CD into it. So in this case, if I do ls, you can see Sanity YouTube. So CD Sanity YouTube. And now I'm in the correct folder. Don't get that confused. And I'm going to type in here Sanity deploy. And what this does, guys, is it takes the studio and it will go ahead and it will deploy it online. So you can see enter a name for the thing that you want. So in this case, I can go ahead and say, let's give it a name. So let's just say Sanity YouTube, Sanity YT, right? Sanity YT. And here we can see, right, so here we can now see, let me just check something. Right, so it's building the output folder. Cool. And one second, my music's gone. Where is it? No, we're good. Okay, so it's building the output folder. Oh, sick. Jay's goes, you're killing it. Nice. All right, guys, we're literally finishing up. So it's awesome stuff. Stay with me for the deployment bit. Igaga says it's a very powerful stack. Yeah, dude, this is sick. This is really like a game changer stack. Right, this is why I was excited for this one. But as we can see here, right, minifying JavaScript bundles, deploying to Sanity, and there we go, sanityyt.sanity.studio. It will pop up, connecting to Sanity, logging in. I was already logged into my Gmail, hence it allowed me through. And now, guys, this is literally my Sanity that I showed you guys before with the same comments from Casper, for example, and we still have full control. And the amazing part about this is my local and my actual one that was up. So if I do 3333, you can see that these are literally still interconnected with that live feature that I told you. So if I do my second post, 1 or sort of 1, 2, 3, look how my local is connected to the deployed version. That's crazy, right? That is literally really powerful and really cool to see that. So now I have I've deployed my Sanity Studio, and the next thing to do is deploy my Next.js app. So 3 things we have to factor in. We have environment variables. So remember those 3, let me find them. There was 3. There was, I've lost them. The Sanity dataset, Sanity project ID, and the API token. So I'm going to show you now how to go ahead and deploy this app, right? So first thing you want to do is go over to your GitHub, and you want to go ahead and set up a repo. So let me go to my GitHub repo. There we go. I'm going to create a new repo, and I'm going to go ahead and call this one something like, let's go ahead and say, we're going to call this one Sanity Demo YouTube, right? I'm going to get private create repo. And then what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and remote add the origin. I should be all good for this one. So I'm going to use this middle terminal here. Boom, add remote origin. And then I'm going to go ahead and do git status. And as you can see, loads of untracked changes. I'm going to go ahead and do git add all. And oops, that's actually going to do something I didn't want it to do. So we need to be careful about this because my source control is including my other npm modules, which is not what we want. So here, inside of git ignore, we actually want to go ahead and you could actually not deploy your Sanity YouTube if you don't want to. It doesn't have to be pushed up, but we are going to do that. Okay. So what I'm going to do is go to my git ignore. I'm going to add in the following. I'm going to say add in ignore anything from Sanity YouTube. Sanity YouTube. There we go. So cool. Anything from there, we're going to ignore. Actually, I only ignore the node modules, the distribution. Actually, we don't care about that. The config's fine. Plugins, statics, fine. Okay, maybe let's just do that one for now and see how it goes, right? So I'm gonna do git add all, and then git commit, and let's just call this one. You should give it a better name, but I'll just say finish the build, finished the build, and now git push, boom, set upstream origin main, push that, and we should see that I have my code be pushed over here. Okay, so I haven't actually added my, oh, okay, I didn't do add origin, sorry. Oh, okay, all right, so, oh, it hasn't pushed yet. Okay, so let that push in. All right, can you show me what you're doing? I'm new in the stream. Yeah, we're actually adding in, we're currently deploying a Sanity CMS backed Next.js app. So it's a blog app, and we're currently pushing it to our GitHub. All right, so that's just pushing over now. I think I pushed something which I shouldn't have, but who knows? It'll be interesting to see. npm ignore. Yeah, okay, compiled Sanity Studio. Okay, I should have. All right, shit. All right, so what I should have done is actually ignored a few of these things as well. It's okay, it's fine. All right, so that will go ahead and do its thing, and it will push to our repo. So I'm going to go to Vercel. And then I'm going to go to my new project and import git repo. So Sanity demo YouTube. And this one, it needs to basically push before I can import it. So it's just being a bit slow on live stream now. Now I've done deployments a few times over, so I may not even deploy this one. I may just show you how it's working. But basically the way it would work is you deploy it, you update your environment variables. So those 3 variables that I showed you guys previously, you would have to go ahead and pop those in as well inside your Vercel, and then it will go ahead and deploy your Next.js application. Super easy to do that, honestly. It will pick up that it's Next.js automatically, and it will do the deployment. For some reason my GitHub's not pushing right now, which is a bit frustrating. Not sure why that is happening, but if I do git status, let's see what's racking me up. Okay, components pages, Sanity.js. All right, anyway, so I'm not going to push yet. I'm not going to push it. I'm going to show you guys a run through of what we did in today's build, and I want to do it with my song. There we go. Nice. And we're literally about to break 1,300 likes, which is crazy way of finishing, right? So let's run through what we did in today's build, right? So literally, if you want to know about deployments, you can literally do that in what I've done previously before, right? And it would deploy it. I'm going to try one more time. Git add all, git commit, finished build. Oh no, okay, I see. Aha. I've actually done it from the wrong directory. Oh, okay. Shit. Right, git add all. There we go. Git commit, finished build. Git push. Okay, so that was actually an issue, yeah. Let's try that now. Okay, I think I might have screwed that up because I might have not done it here. Let's do a refresh. Okay, we're good. We're good. I'm going to show you the build. All right, I'm going to show you. All right, so we'll do this. And then I've got my environment variable ignored, correct. Go over to Vercel, and we are going to deploy. And now, just now, this one, import it. And you can see, let's go ahead and actually refresh. It should pick up that it's a Next.js build. There we go. Import Next.js. And we can go to environment variables. Now, this is the one where you got to be careful, guys. So I want you to go ahead, pop in your next public. That one I don't mind showing you. All right. This one here. And then I'm going to go ahead and pop this in as well. So I'll pop in the final ones, which were env local sanity project ID. So add. And this one here, and my project ID was this, add, and then the final one is Sanity API token. So remember that editor token, you need to add that in, right? So I'm not going to show this one. You guys thought I was going to forget. I didn't forget, right? So I've done it, and now you've got this up, and I click deploy, right? So this is just to make it super. I want to do that entire build finish to finish, so we can do it, right? Radical Peter says, yo Papa, what's the song in your builds, like your vids? All of this is actually in the Papa Fam Epidemic Sound playlist. So if you sign up to the newsletter in the description, you actually get access to this for free. All right, so it's the whole Papa Fam playlist. This is what I actually listen to when I code. So yeah, you can feel free to jump into that, dude. So this will go ahead and build it, and then we've got a little error here, which is package lock generated, build cache not found. Interesting. Okay, not sure what quite happened there, but let me try go ahead and deploy this again. Let's give it a go again. If not, we're gonna go ahead and do that another time because it does work. I've deployed this one before. Finish build. Let's go ahead and do build logs, redeploy. Let's try it one more time. Redeploy with existing, no. Let's give it again. All right, delete no modules. Yeah, it's been a while, Sunny. How you doing? I'm doing awesome, dude. Thank you so much. Right, I think it could actually be because of the package lock as well. No build cache available. That should be going through now. Okay, if it doesn't, it's all good. Okay, there we go. We got through it. So you see what I did there? If you get an issue like that, go to your deployments, redeploy. All right, so interesting. We got this portable text. Data says, oh, I see. Okay, so this is because of the TypeScript definition issue. All right, that's because we modified portable text. Interesting. So you can do a ESLint ignore for this one, and it will get past this. Which is super annoying. Okay, never mind. What I'll do is I'm going to update the code in the GitHub repo and it will work. Right, so don't feel stressed out if that doesn't deploy, but that's all it was. Remember when we added the React portable text custom type? TypeScript's basically freaking out saying, oh, no, you can't do that. So in fact, what you can do at that point is, in this case, I mean, we could literally ignore it if you really wanted to, but I don't recommend doing that. Okay, but in fact, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to wrap up with a build, a demo, and just end it on a strong note. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and show you guys what we built. I'll use my initial build as a demonstration, but let's go ahead and pull this up now. 1 second. Let me go ahead and pop this in. All right, I'm going to pull it side to side so you guys can see everything. All right, where's it gone? All right, localhost 3000, bam. Okay, nice. So today, guys, we went ahead. Actually, I want to do it with my theme song. Where is it? No? There we go. If you know me, you know this is the theme song. So this was the build we did today. Absolutely massive, right? We can go ahead and see we've got the medium build right here, which is powered by Sanity CMS. Remember, use the link in the description to make sure you go ahead and get the double down benefits by using the Papa Fam boosted package that we have with the guys over at Sanity CMS. We built a awesome build today. Actually had incremental static regeneration, which killed it, absolutely worked. And it did all of the sort of content management behind the scenes for us, allows us to maintain a blog like this with ease. We have our awesome static optimized dynamic capable pages using ISR, right? And you can see here we've got our blog content. We have the ability to leave a comment. We have form validation using React Hooks form. And yeah, guys, this was the entire build. We done a massive build in about, what was it, 3 hours. So absolutely crushed it. Just about to hit in at 1,300 likes. Fully responsive build. I hope you guys have enjoyed this. I can just read in the last of the comments. Is there a homework for this? build this clone. Trust me, build this one. It's probably the biggest learning curve you'll have. I'm probably going to compile a nice little boot camp for Next.js now. Now that we've done that, I think it was our fifth build. So I'm going to compile all of them together, get the best bits out. Sharon says, Sonny, you're so damn good. Thank you so much. And yeah, guys, as always, if you enjoyed the build, smash the thumbs up button, hit the subscribe if you enjoyed this and you want to see more content like this. Hit the bell notification icon so you don't miss the future builds. And as always, guys, it's your boy Papa React, and I will see you in the next video. Peace. Somebody said I almost forgot to like. No, dude, you can't forget to like. Thank you, guys. I'll see you in the next one.